The October 22nd, 2019 meeting of the Peralta Community College's Board of Trustees will begin shortly. Currently, the board is still in their closed session, and when they come out, we'll start the meeting. Stay tuned.
My, On, it stays on.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We will stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance led by our student trustee. Everyone stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our October 22nd board meeting. Madam Vice President, do we have a report out from closed session?
There is no readout from tonight's closed session, Madam President.
Thank you. We will move to approval of the agenda, item 2.5. Do I have a motion for the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Any discussion?
Under discussion,
Yes.
Madam Chair, I have a problem with this agenda. Not the items that are included, but an array of items that are not included. First of all, I've requested for the last two meetings to have an agenda item that would explore the definition of a community foundation that would construct a theater for the performing arts with private funds, managed with private funds, but with access by Peralta students. And I've had no feedback, just blocked. We have FICMAT, CBT, and ACCJC investigations and reports. An action plan has been developed. We have nothing on the agenda tonight speaking to that. We had nothing on the agenda 2 weeks ago speaking to that. Even though that should be a top priority of this organization, all hands, it obviously is not. Specifically, I'm concerned about the fact that FICMAT and CBT both stated that we need to downsize by 25%. That's exceedingly dramatic. That's not on the agenda to address. We have no item on the agenda speaking to not only enrollment, but the process to increase enrollment as part of a all-stands organizational kind of matter, including this board, which represents the community. Student success, we all speak about that. Student success, we're all in favor of student success. But when do we measure, and how do we measure, and how do we inform the public in our constituency with respect to student success? So without carrying on any further on items, just to let you know, I'll be voting no on the motion to approve the agenda tonight.
Trustee Withrow, thank you for your comments. Also, can I make a quick statement? Trustee, and if you have your, I am echoing. You are echoing. Yeah. Let me turn this down. Trustee Gonzalez is participating by phone this evening, and that is also on your agenda, so I'm just making a note of that. We also have a number of items from consent that are being requested to be pulled into action. Item 6.2, 6.7, and 6.8. And we will reflect that on our parking lot, 6.2, 6.7, and 6.8
I'm sorry, you're pulling those?
into action. Are there any other items? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
No?
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown? Yes. Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
thank you. We'll move to item 2.6, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
And we have a second. Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes?
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese? Trustee Brown? Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
thank you. We'll move to item 2.7, Associated Student Government Reports. Where are our students?
Thank you. Hello, Board of Trustees. My name is Max Franke, President of the Associated Students of Berkeley City College. At ASBCC, we're working on several projects at the moment, but for the sake of time, I will condense my report to 3 of our most important items. At ASBCC, we're very involved in promoting a voter-friendly campus, working 3 events this semester to promote voter activity and awareness for the 2020 U.S. presidential election. The second item is currently we're waiting on approval for a Rotary grant request for a Thanksgiving drive, which will be for students in need at Berkeley City College. It will take place during the week of Thanksgiving. Put together also a BCC housing form for students, and the resource is going to be available online, and it will refer students to other students looking for housing, and will also be a resource for landlords looking for tenants, so they'll be able to go on our website, fill out a form, and connect with our students. And it will replicate a similar housing resource that exists at Cabrillo College. And we will be having a launch party to promote that on November 19th. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Bonilla, members of the board, Chancellor White, and guests. My name is Karina Montes de Oca, and I'm the Vice President of Programs, and I'll be giving an update on the Associated Students of College of Alameda. Currently, there are clubs that are in their finishing stages to officialize themselves completely on campus. We're eager to have even more clubs up and running soon throughout the campus that will revamp the club culture. Next, we are putting the finishing touches on the preparation for COA's Halloween Boo Bash that's being held by a collaboration of ASCOA and the Sari Sari Club, also known as the Filipino Club. The Halloween Boo Bash will have an array of games, snacks, drinks, and music for students of College of Alameda to enjoy throughout this stressful time of midterms, as well as to create a sense of community through comic mutual relief. This event will take place next Monday in College of Alameda's Elf Building or Student Center in the second floor from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. On top of the Halloween Boo Bash, we are preparing for the next event, You Matter Day, which will be held in November. This event will be presented again by the collaboration of ESCOA and the Sorry Sorry Club. The purpose of the You Matter Day is to affirm that everyone matters, regardless of their ethnicity, citizenship, gender, etc. ESCOA hopes to be able to amplify this message through the act of encouraging students to vote and fill out the census. We welcome people to both events. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and our new Chancellor Stroud. I am Spencer Staggers Elmore. I am the Associated Students of Merritt College Incorporated President, and I'm here to report that we had very successful events over at Merritt. We had Road Trip Nation visit our school to offer career opportunities to the students, and they were actually really, really excited, so I was excited that the event went really well. We also had a community day in celebration for our community, so all of the staff, everyone was invited, and it was a really wonderful event last Saturday. We are also having a lot, I'm saying also that, we are having a lot of events. Dia de los Muertos on October 30th. Puente Club is celebrating it. It's a tradition for Puente Club, so everyone is invited to that as well to celebrate their loved ones, celebrate the loves they have lost. We also are having a poetry slam, which we're calling the Day of the Dead Art Slam because it's on October 31st. So again, everyone is invited to come to that as well. And last, we are having a talent show coming up in the near future, which all of Peralta is invited to show off the talents that all of Peralta has. So please, I'll be sending out more information, but that concludes my report.
First of all, I want to say hello to the Board of Trustees and also the Chancellor as well. It's really nice to see you, Chancellor. Also the student trustees as well. I would like to say hello. My name is Terrence Williams. I'm a second-year student at Laney College, and I'm also the president of ASLC, which is our student government. I'm coming to speak on behalf of all ASLC council members and in representing students of all ages, race, religion, color, gender identity, and gender expression. Honestly, at Laney College, I can say that we are continuing to meet to establish campus needs, such as a student center upgrade, which we really desperately need. I feel like the student center is like the community center of the college, and I feel like it needs to be up to par. As far as Laney College, I feel like it could bring a lot of students in, and it also can attract just different events and different organizations. We're also trying to make our campus way more accessible for disabled students. Walking around campus, we have a lot of things that we need to work on as far as like helping disabled students get to where they need to go and things like that. Our forum is really cool, but it's no way for disabled students or handicapped students to actually reach the bottom of the forum. So as a council, we're really working on trying to make our campus disabled friendly, we call it. I really love the things that we've been doing with our undocumented students. We had an undocumented student support week last week at Laney College, and it went really, really, really well. We even did an event surrounding Undocumented Students Awareness Week called Sip and Paint, but no alcohol involved, though, just to let y'all know, no alcohol involved. We had apple cider, and we had a student actually not train the students, but help guide the students in painting our logo for undocumented students, which is a beautiful butterfly with words in it, so we can let the undocumented students know that we support them and that this campus is accessible to them as well. I don't want to talk your ear off. I'm a communications major. I love to talk. But I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to introduce myself so far. It's been a crazy busy semester. I've been able to take trips and things like that. I went on the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation trip with Trustee Handy, which was really cool, so I'm sorry that I was missing that meeting. And we have a Halloween event coming up, so if you all want to come, it's going to be really fun. It's bowling at Laney College, but we're calling it bowling at Laney College. So it should be really fun. We're going to have pins set up outside in front of the Student Center, and we're just trying to bring light back to Laney College, and we're just trying to show everyone that, we are exceeding and going above our vision of dreaming, flourishing, and succeeding. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the students. Okay, we will move to our classified Senate report.
Good evening, President Bonilla, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Stroud, presidents, and guests. Tonight we have 3 campus reports. However, I would first like to say the Peralta Classified Senate looks forward to developing a respectful, cooperative, and productive relationship with the new Chancellor, Dr. Regina Stanbeck Stroud. We recognize that there is a challenging set of issues needing solutions throughout Peralta. Rest assured that the Peralta Classified Senate is engaged and will be part of those solutions. Great solutions often warrant great minds and talents, and we are fortunate to have great talent among us. The first report is from Laney College campus. The classified professionals of Laney College welcome Dr. Regina Stanbeck Stroud and look forward to working closely with the Chancellor's office to better serve our students. The second report is from Berkeley City College. Berkeley City College had their first fall semester meeting Monday, September 30th. The Senate discussed goals and projects for the upcoming academic year. In addition, professional development funds were discussed, along with ideas on how to support classified and how to spend funds. They are currently awaiting the budget line after the fund recall. There will be a survey dispersed to allow classifieds to anonymously comment on what type of support they expect from the Classified Senate and what goals they wish to pursue over the course of the academic year. It would also give classifieds the opportunity to suggest projects that they want classifieds to take on. BCC classifieds are eager to hear how they can participate or have input on the upcoming contract negotiations and would like to express that the professional development is a priority and work equity as it pertains to workplace disputes. The third report is from Merritt College campus. Merritt College Classified Senate welcomes our newly appointed Chancellor, Dr. Regina Stanbeck Stroud, to Peralta Community Colleges. The Senate looks forward to working with Chancellor Stroud, the leadership team at the district and on campus, faculty, staff, and students to provide a more equitable educational experience for our community and future leaders. Now, on to the record. On October 4th, the Merritt College Classified Senate passed a resolution regarding the importance of hiring a permanent Vice President of Student Services and a Financial Aid Director. The resolution will be presented at the October 23rd College Council meeting. The update on the College Director of Financial Aid Services. This position has been posted and the hiring process will be vetted through administration, faculty, and staff. Update on the Vice President of Student Services. The position was not posted. On Saturday, October 22nd, the Peralta Governing Board meeting agenda included a recommendation to appoint the Vice President of Student Services. The Merritt College Classified Senate questions how Administrative Policy AP 1723 was followed. If the appointment is an internal appointment, the Senate is requesting transparent information to be shared regarding how the appointment was made. According to AP 1723 4B, the Chancellor may make a direct appointment based on the immediate needs of the district and upon the approval of the board. Was the appointment made by Chancellor White or Chancellor Stanbeck Stroud? When was Dr. Marie Elaine Burns, Merritt College President, informed or consulted? What criteria was used for the appointment? If the process was not transparent and the appointment is internal, the Merritt College Classified Senate is requesting the opportunity to provide feedback on administrative appointments per the AP 1725A, which will allow administrators, full-time faculty, and full-time classified staff to provide valuable feedback. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your attention and support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you for that report. We will now move to District Academic Senate report.
Good evening. President Bonilla, the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Stroud, the college presidents, vice chancellors, and members of the college, Peralta College, Community College District, and faculty members. I want to welcome Chancellor Stroud to Peralta. We look forward to working with the district chancellor, who understands the academic senate's role in the district and college, because she has been there as the Senate president at the college level, district level, and most especially at the state academic senate. I want to highlight that today at the colleges and at the district, there was a flex day of professional development for faculty and for classified professionals. At all of the campuses and at the district, there were good, useful workshops that faculty and classified engaged in. And I want to really highlight the fact that there was this year a flex day here at the district that classified were able to participate in. And from what I saw, it looked like a very promising activity for everybody. This Friday, there's a district-wide instructional chairs meeting that's going to be held here at the district, hosted by our consultants, the CBT. This is something that has been championed by the District Academic Senate for the last 3 years. For scheduling, the colleges and the faculty mostly compete rather than collaborate or to cooperate. Bringing together these chairs and the chairs getting to know one another from the different colleges is important to make good scheduling decisions moving forward in the future. The Senate is also concerned about reductions of courses for this spring. We understand that both CBT and FICMAT both call for a reduction in our FTEF. Our concern is the potential of increasing our 4% yearly decline in our FTES to something higher, possibly as a result of what we're doing. I think that we really urge that there be the reductions of the vice chancellors at the district that both FIGMAT and CBT called for. But to me, not only do we have to reduce the vice chancellors, we have to know what's going to replace it. Are we going to replace it with an associate vice chancellor, assistant vice chancellor, a director? There needs to be some level of a plan or something that's provided to us that details this out. Ultimately, is this a savings, a cost savings that we're trying to achieve? If so, how much are we trying to achieve, right? I think there needs to be better communication and transparency. And part of my concern is that the same time we've all been hearing about this vice chancellor reduction, some of us know that finance needs to hire 4 new managers, right? And so that gets really difficult on one hand because everybody is just saying, oh, we got to reduce, but we also know that we need help in finance, but that's not being communicated. And so all people know is that the district has not reduced their vice chancellors, even though this has been a call from faculty for years now, and certainly both CBT as well as FICMAT have called for it. So we need that action, and we need it sooner rather than later. If we're looking at this year's budget, how are we really saving money as we go from month to month to month? November's just around the corner. There's no action on any of this. And while I respect the fact that we've been going through a transition, we have had people here to be able to make those decisions and to move forward, and that has not been the case. So I hope this doesn't go until the end of this academic year and that we move forward on it much more quickly. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Madam Vice Chair, we're going to move into public communication. Do you have speakers?
I do have speakers.
And before we start to call them out, will you explain the process for them?
Yeah, tonight we're going to have each speaker be able to speak up to 2 minutes. So I just want to alert you to that, and I want to thank people for actually sharing with each other so that we don't have the numbers that we thought that we had. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to call 5 of you to come up at each time. Arthur Aravina, and if I get your names wrong, please correct me. Eric Gerdana, Heidi Dittmar, Pam Jackson, and Judith Gans. Please come up.
My name is Eric Gordon. I'm a student at Berkeley City College in the Multimedia Arts, and I'm here to support the part-time teachers because they seem to not be getting the pay they deserve. And my experience for the last three and a half years at that college has been that the part-time teachers are so important. Without them, we probably wouldn't even have the multimedia department. So I expect that hopefully the Board of Trustees will consider that these people deserve the pay. They do so much above what they get paid for. It would be decent if they at least got parity. And I'll keep it that brief. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Pam Jackson. Welcome, Dr. Stroud, to Peralta. I see that you're from Oakland, so you know how important Peralta colleges are to the community. The part-time teachers at my school, Berkeley City College, and all of Peralta are very, very important. They are pretty much why I'm there, why I am pursuing my passions as a retired person. There are younger students in the class because even though they're working 2 or 3 jobs, they still have that creative spark, and that's what's fanned. That flame is fanned in the multimedia department. So I hope that you will look at the budget and find some money for them because they deserve it. They're why a lot of us are there. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Arthur Aravina. I'm also a Berkeley City College photography student. And I'm here to support our instructors, our teachers. I mean, without them, we'd be lost. I have a couple of things I'd like to just sort of mention to you, and that is the whole issue about commitment. It seems like you expect your teachers to commit X amount of time. I think, what is the semester? 3 or 4 months of time. You expect them to devote that time and make that time available to you, but it's very easy for you guys to drop a class on a moment's notice, and these teachers are out of work. In my business, when I get a job canceled on me, I get paid for that job full on. There's no question about that. And so it's all about commitment. I mean, you wanting the teachers to commit, but you guys don't really make a commitment to the teachers. I mean, you need to support them, to commit to them. You need to work out a real compensation for classes that are canceled. And then in talking about commitment as well, I'd like to just say, I know perhaps that the registration that might be a little bit low, and I think that also goes back to commitment and the commitment on the Peralta college system. When a student makes a commitment to sign up for a class, it takes a lot of work. He has to work out a schedule, he has to work out his finances, he has to work out a lot of things. He comes into class and he finds out that, boom, it's been canceled, he no longer has a class to attend. That's a real hardship and a disappointment for him. Doesn't really show very much commitment on your part, because if you were committed to that student, you would not be worried about the bottom line.
Thank you. We're really going to try to keep to this 2-minute. Thank you so much.
One more quick question.
30 seconds of my time.
30 seconds of your time. Okay.
One more quick question. So, since you are canceling photography classes left and right, I want to know what your intentions are for the photography department. Are you planning to cancel that department in Berkeley City College? I mean, we lost 2 classes this last semester. Can anybody speak to that?
The trustees won't engage in conversation because we don't have the level of detail that you're talking about, so those questions will be deferred to the Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So can you say who you are? I'm trying to get the students up first, so.
I am a student.
Okay. Ta-da.
Fooled you. My name is Judith Gans, and I am a student at Berkeley City College Department of Photography, and echoing a lot of what Arthur said, I'm concerned about the teachers having lost some of their jobs and positions this semester. Students have lost valuable laboratory time, and we are worried that the department is in danger of being eliminated altogether. As a lifelong learner and educator, I value this community college experience because in this setting, unlike all the others I've been in, I get to learn alongside folk who are not like me. What better way for me to see what they see and for them to see what I see than through photography? No talking at each other, no recriminations, no other. Communication in its purest form, bridging the distance and difference with the press of a shutter, with caring teachers as our guides. Don't eliminate a program or cut it that has such a profound effect on what is the true meaning of community, especially now with those in power who are seeking to rip apart what holds us together. How can you preserve this sense of community? As our photography teachers advise, just see the light. Maintain the photography department in full capacity at Berkeley City College. It's just that simple.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Dittmar. I live in Oakland, and I'm a student at Laney College. This year, at the age of 54, I decided to finally go back to school and finish my BS degree that I started over 30 years ago. I was very nervous when I walked into the classroom for the first time, and I walked into Andre Thompson and Sharon Siskin's Echo Arts Matters class, and all of my fears melted away. Felt very engaged. I felt challenged. I felt part of a very important community, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I wanted to acknowledge the other instructors. They're all part-time who've been helping me this year so much to achieve my goal of finally getting my BS degree. And I just wanted to stand in solidarity with them and say publicly that I support them, and I appreciate them very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So Israel Kazen is a student? Okay. Gail Feldman, student. Did we hear from Eric Graydon? No. Okay. Are there any other students here who want to be heard first? Please come up.
Thank you. So,
Okay.
hello, good evening. My name is Israel, and political science major. So I am here to support PFT, our part-time teacher. So it came to my So it came to my attention that part-time teachers at the Peralta district are seeking for improved compensation, especially here in the Bay Area where the cost of living is expensive. In my first year at College of Alameda, which was last year, I remember one professor who is part-time who went above and beyond in sharing educational opportunities and student activities with her students, even though she was not instructed to do so. Another professor of mine was always willing to meet with students even if it is outside of his office hours, only to help them to relearn and catch up with concepts that the students have not quite grasped yet. To be honest, it might be possible that I would not be ASCOA president had not been for those people, both full-time and those professors who were part-time. I, with my friends who are standing alongside me, are in support of the part-time staffers. So I hope we find time to hear them out, because I believe when a group gathers together, there's something important that they're holding, that they want to communicate with everyone. So open eyes, open ears, open minds, open hearts. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Any other students who want to speak? Just please introduce yourself.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Gail Feldman. I'm also a student at Berkeley City College, and I'm here tonight to support the part-time faculty and all the faculty. I think, as the other students have said, it's important to compensate the faculty, the part-time faculty especially. It's difficult to make a living in the Bay Area and to survive here, and we have to recognize that, and we need to compensate our faculty fairly. Thank you.
Thank you.
See if you guys could hear me. That would be wonderful. But I think they could hear me. Thank you. My name is Michelle Rousey. About 5-6 years ago, I went back to school at 43. I'm 49 now. Sharon Siskin, who comes to my building and does art with me privately in my building, talked me into coming back to school. I love the eco art class. I love it with a passion. It scopes everything that I am and everything that I do, not only environmentally, but socially. I'm part of committees locally, statewide, that I advocate for people with disabilities and seniors. I participate. I'm able to participate in this class like no other. And I heard that the class isn't canceled, but I want to support the teachers because they're part-time and they deserve to be and have equal pay. They deserve to have a voice here that they are heard and they are able to voice what their needs are with you. And I just want you to know that your disability stuff here on the campus is a whole other issue. But the teachers are what's important. They need to be respected, and by respecting them with their pay, and you respect what they do. Most of them are educated like your regular full-time teachers. And you need to respect that they need equal pay. And please, please look into your hearts and souls and know that, you know, it's important. It's all important. Thank you.
Thank you. More students?
Hi, my name is Cole Sexton. I know I'm a student, but I look old enough to be an instructor. Funny enough, a lot of you instructors at BCC where I go are the same age as me. And, you know, I'm working part-time. They're working part-time along with a full-time job. And it's kind of funny in the sense that I'm going back to school to get the skills that I need to kind of get myself that upward mobility going. And I'm looking at them, and they're working full-time and teaching part-time. And so I'm like, what is there for me when I get out there? I recently just got my AA from BCC, which I'm really grateful for, and I'm grateful for the please, like I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I have my bachelor's from another university, and I've gotten more opportunity through the Peralta school system than I did when I went to my four-year institution. And that speaks volumes. But it really also speaks volumes, especially if you're going to already have a prejudged notion about how you're going to vote about this measure, about this initiative to get these instructors paid just their fair worth and value. Because let me tell you, if not for a lot of them, I probably wouldn't have any of the connections that I have going outside of the institution, which is BCC right now. A lot of my part-time instructors have really looked after me and still do right now to this day. Even though they're no longer at BCC because it's just not cutting it for them, they're still sending me emails about apprenticeships, sponsorships, groups that I can attend, a myriad of things that I could do once I leave BCC, which I hope will be December 13th. Seriously. But anyway, thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm Norm Fisher. I'm a student at Berkeley City College. And I retired about 3 years ago, and now I'm 67, and my bones ache, but I'm still coming. Words matter. Words matter. Education matters, and experience matters. And I don't know any of this for a fact, but so why doesn't salaries matter for part-time instructors? There's, when I worked in hospitals, it was a habit of the unions getting used to takeaways. And because of what was considered economy issues. But there were more deep issues than that. But I also want to thank the Board of Trustees and everyone here for coming for such a serious issue and for listening, because I think all our ideas and words matter, mine included. After I retired, I immediately came here, and I live about probably 25 miles away because I used to work in Berkeley. Almost all of my instructors are part-time, but they teach with a full-time mind. So I guess my hope is that your idea of using their resources of who they are at some point for whatever reason, or that it includes proper recompense.
Thank you.
I hope I said that word right.
You did. Thank you so much. Do the students have cards that they have filled out? No, okay. Go ahead.
I'm Nancy Ma, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for ASCOA, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the part-time teachers, and I stand with them. And honestly, I feel like we should take into more consideration as to why we should value their time and their patience, because they're really doing a lot of work. And I've been here since freshman year of high school, because I took classes at Peralta, and they really have done a lot for me. And if you're not supporting the current part-time teachers, you only deter the future generations who want to become teachers and would rather choose a different career path instead of educating others because of the low payment they have. And it's funny because literally the other day I talked to a lot of my classmates, and one of them switched out of math, and he wanted to become a math teacher, but then he switched to econ because he said that he he thought like long-term and that he wouldn't get paid because he would want to live in California and in the Bay Area was really expensive. So really, if you're not starting now, then when is a good time to start? Because like you're only, like I said, deterring the future generations, and at that point, like who will become part-time teachers and like teach the students the resources that they need to succeed to transfer. And I really want to thank everyone who came out here because really we shouldn't take them for granted. And thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Fernando. I'm here as a student veteran. I'd like to mention that the success of myself and other student veterans, everybody that I know at Peralta, their success hinges on the work of a part-timer. So if that part-timer were not there, it would be really difficult for us to succeed, given that that person who helps us all student veterans, has specific knowledge on protocol and on procedures on how to get us the benefits that we need. I'm also here as a senator, as a student senator, part of the student senate, who wants to echo that many students have expressed that they need some of the classes that are being canceled. And so canceling or taking away pay from part-timers would obviously cancel these classes, and they're classes that they need, like the photography class when I was in high school. Photography changed my life. It gave me a way to express things that I could not express through words. So please give these teachers the pay that they need. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So now I'm going to call 5 of you, please come on up. So Brad Baluchin, Akeem Brown, Katie Carmichael, Chris Weidenbach, and Christine Yanwaria, and Jeff Sinceri. That's 6.
I want to say thank you to all the students, the classified staff, the full-time faculty that are here today on our behalf. My name's Brad Baluchin. I'm part-time faculty at Merritt College, and I'm here tonight to ask the district to provide full pay parity for part-time faculty. Unlike many of my part-time colleagues who want to be full-time, and don't get me wrong, we need to hire more full-time faculty, I actually like being part-time. It gives me the flexibility to pursue other things in my professional life, like I'm a journalist, I am the president of a nonprofit, and so I choose to teach here even knowing that I'm very poorly paid, that I don't get benefits, that I'm going to have to do a lot of work that's uncompensated. But I do that because I want to be here. I know what I signed up for, and I can live with most of that. What I can't live with is this pay parity gap. The fact that I get paid less than my full-time colleagues per hour to do the exact same work with the exact same qualifications, that is simply wrong. And people have said to me, instead of complaining about this, why don't you get a full-time job? Why don't you do something different? You're choosing to be exploited. And I hate that argument because there's a logical fallacy there. Having a choice does not excuse the perpetuation of injustice. Finally, when I was the rep for PFT, I had a meeting with Chancellor Joel Laguerre, and I said to him, what would you say to a part-time faculty member if you had to look them in the eye and explain why they're being paid less to do the exact same work with the exact same experience? And he didn't like that question. He got angry. He slammed his book shut. He said that wasn't fair. But now I turn to you, Chancellor, and ask you the same thing. If you had to look a part-time faculty member in the eye and tell them why they're being paid less to do the exact same work with the exact same experience, what would you say?
Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
Good evening. I have all right. I have a fundamentally different situation that I need
Excuse me,
to
can
also.
you introduce yourself?
My name is Akeem Brown.
Thank
I
you.
am Programs Director at the Hidden Genius Project. I'm a little dressed down today, but I still came to work and I came to represent my issue. Former student from 2012 to 2013. Yes, Ms. Handy, we talked at Alameda. We still got an issue to take care of. Okay, so transferred out to UC Riverside, double majored in 18 months, public policy and religious studies at the same time, came home to try to get some classes that were on my schedule that were dropped, that I did not drop. But the logic there is I wasn't even here to attend those classes. So I think there's a fundamental problem when folks are being marked not present or however they do it. I was not able to attend those classes. So the issue I have is my degree is not conferred, my GETSI was not sent. I'm technically a walk-in person who matriculated but has no official degree. There's been a governor change, there's been 2 chancellors, and my issue is still not being heard. So what I'm asking is that the board come together and give a forgiveness or amnesty program. $470 is a lot of money. I can afford it, but it's the principle. I know I'm representing more than myself on this issue. So if you all can put your heads together and think about that and figure out how we can forgive those courses in those classes if folks can prove that they were not able to attend. I was in Riverside, not in Berkeley City College. I was in Riverside, not in Merritt. Never walked into class one day. So if folks can prove that, I think they should be forgiven. $471 is a lot of money, but I can afford it, but I know I'm not representing myself. So I'm asking for it to be forgiven. Also want to register for intercession coming up, right? To beef up my grad school application, right? So I once saw Peralta as my gateway to a bachelor's degree, but now I see that as an impediment to my forward progress because of this situation. So I'm asking for your help today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Katie. I'll step over here because I'm standing on my tiptoes. And I teach geography at College of Alameda. In my courses, we take a look at climate change, which is this big, overwhelming issue that requires significant foundational knowledge. And when we look at solutions to this big, overwhelming issue, I challenge my students to visualize. What does an environmentally conscientious individual look like, right? How would they behave or act? How about a community or a society, and so on and so forth? And we have these terrific discussions where students think critically not only about themselves and their behaviors, but about the ways in which the systems they function in both physical and cultural aspects operate. I would encourage this board and the district to use the same critical and introspective approach that my students take when looking at the big, overwhelming issue that is our district's current financial state. From the faculty side, I can tell you that we're frustrated. Our frustration stems from a lack of trust in this district, particularly when it comes to managing, or in this case, mismanaging its large budget. This distrust has not only been validated, but heightened by the FCMAT report. It's clear that we have money. It's also equally clear that we have negligence with regards to the management of that money. And we all know the definition of insanity, right? Well, as someone who's only been with this district for 3.5 years, I can tell you I've seen this insanity grow in a short amount of time. We cannot keep listening to the same individuals and doing the same things that got us into this financial mess and expect a different result. Our faculty, for the most part, are here for the long haul, and I would include our staff in this as well. We are the consistent backbone of this district, not the administration, who are known for using opportunities here as a stepping stone. And that's not a judgment, it's not an accusation, it's simply a well-known fact. What would a financially responsible district look like, or even a district that values its faculty? Right now we have...
I'm sorry, your time's up. Can you close out, please?
I can, yes. So I just want to end by saying that this district in particular has an opportunity to ease, if not reverse, the distrust and the frustration, and to begin to build a more favorable opinion, not only internally, but with our community and across the state. And what we're asking is that the value of faculty be placed above the value of the financial mismanagers. So please help us reach parity and secure a sorely needed long-term cost of living adjustment.
Okay, thank you. Chris Weidenbach and Christina Yanwaria and Jeff Sinceri. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Chris Weidenbach from Laney College. I would like to welcome Dr. Stroud as our new chancellor, and I would like to cede the rest of my time to Karen Panich.
Hello, my name is Karen Panich, and I'm in the ESL department at Laney.
Hi, my name's Chris Yanwadia, and I used to be an ESL faculty member at Laney. I am now an ESL faculty member at City College of San Francisco. And we have a question for you.
All right, so take a look at us. One of us has 20 years experience teaching ESL in the community colleges. One of us has 15 years experience teaching ESL in a community college. Both of us develop curriculum. Both of us serve on committees. Both of us meet with students. Both of us make meaningful contributions to our departments. And one of us is making 12% less than the other. Does that seem like it makes any sense to anybody or is fair in any way? Right. The answer is no to that. It's not fair at all. And in fact, I'm the part-timer. I have 5 more years experience than Chris, and I make 12% less. And every year that goes on, every semester that goes on, I am cheated, which is how I see it, out of tens of thousands of dollars. We haven't even gotten a cost of living increase in years. And the cost of living goes up every single year. As we've all noted, the Bay Area is this incredibly expensive place.
So I left. I couldn't afford to piece together a livable wage with what Peralta was offering me. Working 3 campuses, commuting 5 hours a day, that was unsustainable. That was unfair. And that's inequitable. So I got a full-time job at City College of San Francisco. And knowing that part-timers are contingent workers, why add to the dysfunction of an inequitable system with pay disparity for part-timers?
Thank you.
So Chris is not, of course, the only part-timer that has had to leave. We've had many incredibly qualified and committed teachers that have been forced to leave. So I think now is the time to really just face this inequity and to try to make it right. The claims of poverty by the district are not true. There is money there. To make parity is really not that expensive. When you look at the amount of money that would take to get everybody up to parity, it seems quite small and really, really doable. So with the new contract, we have to address that issue first and foremost. The money is there. It's only the will that is absent and the priorities that are out of whack. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Jeff Sinceri and Valerie Batchelor, Ishmael Armandris, Jennifer Shinosky, and Jeff Freitas, and Andrew Park.
Hello. Sorry. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'd like to also, before I say that, just say hello to my my mother who's watching. I'll be sure to speak a little bit more slowly this evening. She bugs me about it every single time. It's getting hard. All right. You know, it's interesting. One of the things that I've heard from the trustees, a couple trustees in particular, time and time again, that the most important thing that we have are the students. And I got to be honest with you, that is actually a tough one to argue against. I can't. I mean, I think that's absolutely right. It remains right, and it's first and foremost on my mind. I know, and the more I think about it, I start thinking about why students, are coming here, right? I mean, we have opportunities here and there, but I got to be honest, if I'm asking myself why students come here, do they come here for, the broken windows? No. Do they come leaky roofs? No. The mold in the classrooms? They do not. Buildings that are shut down? Not so much. Concrete stumps in the parking lots? No, they're not here for that either. Swimming pools that you can't swim in? No, that's not why they come here. Classrooms that are colder inside than it is outside in the winter, and hotter inside than it is outside in the summer. That is not why they come here either. And it's not because the school might randomly shut down for a day. Okay, it might be that sometimes. But this will go on. But at the same time, Darn. Sorry. At the same time, I know a teacher who makes it a point to memorize all of his students' names on the first day of class. All of them. In all of his classes.
You have 10 seconds.
Oh, darn. A professor that knows that food insecurity is an issue, so he feeds them. A professor that stays up late chatting in online classes with their students, like at 11, because they don't get off work until 11. A professor who gave a ride to a student to the airport because they could make a job interview. Our own president, PFT president Jennifer Shinowski, still opens her home to her former students and continues to shepherd them through university after they transfer, hosting dinners where they talk about chemistry of all things. I don't get it, but whatever. My point is that we love our students, we want more students, and our students stay because of our teachers, right?
Okay. Jeff, we have
I'll
to
be
stop.
honest,
you're seating too?
I'd rather be teaching those students right now, but I'm here asking for equal pay for equal work, which I don't think is something I should be asking for in the first place. That's all.
Hello, my name is Ishmael Armendariz, and I'm the first vice president of OEA. I'm here representing nearly 3,000 pre-K to 12 teachers, itinerant student support services, substitutes, and I'm here with some of my colleagues. We have made a partnership with PFT because we truly believe that Oakland, particularly OUSD, could be a strong public school system, and then we have a place to send our students who don't go to four-year universities. I myself was a community college transfer, and community college gave me the opportunity to attend UC Berkeley and to now be a vice president of a union. And so we are committed to making OUSD and Peralta strong. However, the stuff that we hear coming out of Peralta College is the same thing we heard coming out of OUSD, that there's no money, that we can't do this, we can't do that. But I think what we have shown across the nation with the rise of educators is that it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of will. We can, a lack of will. We can offer PFT COLA. That is what they're asking for, and parity for their part-timers. They deserve it. Out of our strike, we raised our substitute pay nearly 36% when we were considered being in a deficit. Y'all can do it. We can have a strong system, but it's up to you to settle this contract and keep your professors and teachers here in Oakland. Thank you.
Valerie? So we have a few more people. Valerie, Bachelor, Jennifer Shinowski, Jeff Friedis, and Andrew Park.
We're going to just change the order a little bit. So Andrew's coming up.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Andrew Park. I teach physics at College of Alameda, and I'm here to urge against inaction that may seem safe at the time. So I've been here only for 5 years, 2.5 years as part-timer, another 2.5 years as full-timer. And I think at Peralta, we are here where we are now because people made decisions at the time, inactions that seemed safe at the time. I'm sure years ago it seemed safer to defer maintenance, not spend the money we seemed that we didn't have. And we reached the breaking point with the campuses at Laney, Merritt, and some of the smaller stuff at College of Alameda. And when our enrollment was going down, I'm sure it seemed safe to some people to cancel classes that seemed low enrolled at the time. And rather than take chances whether those classes might fill up or not, it might even have seemed fiscally sound. So we cancel those classes, drive the students away, and start us on a vicious cycle of declining enrollment. And at the current moment, it may seem safe to let the injustice continue paying continue denying equal pay for equal work. It may seem safe, it may even seem fiscally sound. I am here to urge you against that inaction. Take action today, restore justice, and please negotiate a fair contract that includes full pay parity for part-timers.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Adele Ray. I am the BCC rep at the union, and I also teach in the multimedia department at BCC. I'm the daughter of a Vietnamese immigrant. My daughter is the daughter of a Goan Indian immigrant. My daughter goes to OUSD school. I appreciate them coming out for us tonight. And she walked the picket line with her teachers at Lincoln Elementary last year, which is right down the road. So I have to teach her about what right and wrong is and what justice is through these actions. And I ask you to please offer the PFT what we've been saying over and over again, so I'm not going to say it again. But I also just wanted to welcome Dr. Stroud. I was really impressed with what you're bringing here, especially your scholarly work, critical race, leadership, Black feminist thought. You published in Equity, Diversity, and Leadership in the Equity Institute. I hope that you can bring equity back to the union, back to the workers here, and bring us a fair contract. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Kimberly.
Hi, I'm Kimberly King. Good evening, Chancellor Stroud. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Peralta, and good evening, board members. I'm the faculty member in the psychology department at Laney College. I'm also the coordinator for the Umoja program at Laney College, and I am the diversity chair with our union, the Peralta Federation of Teachers. And I'm just here to do what the other faculty and students who have spoken are doing, which is to just advocate for equal pay for equal work for the part-time faculty. It's, we all know that that's, the fair thing. We just urge you to help the negotiating team to give us that because the cost of living in the Bay Area, as you know, as all of us know, is really getting out of hand. And so that makes it even harder for part-time faculty to make a living. Oakland now has the highest rate of homelessness in the whole state of California. And that affects a lot of the students I work with, and I worry that it also affects part-time faculty, and even some full-time faculty who are lower paid can risk having a housing insecurity. So part-time faculty and full-time faculty are equal in our commitment to students, but we're not equal in our pay, and so we're just asking to please settle a fair contract now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janelle Tillotson. I'm a counselor at Laney College. Board of Trustees, Chancellor Stanback Stroud, welcome. And my fellow Peralta colleagues and constituents, thank you for this opportunity to stand before you and to share my story as I advocate for the cost of living increases and parity pay for part-time faculty. Again, my name is Janelle Tillotson. I'm a full-time counselor at Laney College. I especially wish to welcome the new chancellor, as now she is part of our Peralta family. Your reputation precedes you. I was at a random conference, and when they found out I was from Peralta, they're like, oh no, Dr. Stroud is I love her. So I'm really excited for what you could bring and what your presence could mean for our district. I hope to connect with you, to introduce myself in some other way, at some other time. Would have loved to seen you at our transfer day or our Dia de los Muertos celebration at Laney or my tenure reception in May, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. But here we are, I'm here again, as I spoke over a month ago at a previous board meeting, to advocate for our contract to be settled. Again, I am here as a current full-time faculty, one of the privileged 30%, advocating for my part-time brothers and sisters and other genders for parity pay. Prior to securing a full-time position, I was engaging in a part-time hustle in multiple districts. At Laney, while an adjunct counselor in the Gateway to College program, I would clock more than the 20 hours I received. My position required outreach to high schools, phone calls to parents and students, information sessions to prospective students. I participated in math and English action teams where I met with instructors before and after class to address student behavior and classroom management issues. I met at coffee shops with faculty to plan project-based learning.
Can you please?
Yes. Okay. So I say all this to say that, in fact, the instructors that I worked at with Gateway met me. They were also part-time. I'll say what I said at the last meeting where I spoke. Parity pay is what Peralta needs to improve the morale in the community and show the majority of our faculty, the 70%, that their work, expertise, and experience is valued, appreciated, and acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila Metcalf-Tobin. I am the Arts Department Chair at Merritt College, and I'm also a rep for the PFT. Welcome, Dr. Stroud. I am a full-time faculty person at Merritt, but I was part-time for 12 years at Laney prior to a full-time position opening up at Merritt, and I was lucky enough to get that position. I was part-time by choice, as Brad spoke to. I was raising young children, so it worked for me at that time. But part of my experience that I brought to that position, which I feel many, many part-time instructors do bring to their positions, is going above and beyond what we are asked to do, whether or not we are supported in doing so. I myself sponsored many art events on my own free time that were good for my students. It was good for them to get their art in the world through Open Studios, sponsored by ProArts in Oakland. I continue to do that as a full-time instructor, and I'm not compensated for that either. I believe it's important. I believe it should be a part of our program. Just like I believe everybody should get paid equally for equal work. I believe that that is what we should lead with. What do we believe in? What do we want our community to think of us? What do we want to think of each other? I am one of 8 employees or faculty in my department. I'm the only full-time person. And all of them, I'm asking all of them to do something all the time that they're not really getting compensated to do, to show up and to do more work than they're getting paid to do. And they have the same qualifications as I do. I don't like asking them to do work that I know they're not being compensated for. It puts me in a really awkward position. And I don't think that's fair.
Okay, thank you. Sheila?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Freitas. Now you know who I am.
Yes.
I'm the president of the California Federation of Teachers, representing 85,000 members in the state of California. I'm a vice president of the California Labor Fed, representing over 1 million workers in California. And I am a vice president of the American Federation of Teachers, representing over 1.7 million workers in this country. And we are here in solidarity with this fight, because this is an important fight, a simple and easy and achievable solution, a fight for COLA, cost of living adjustment, a fight for parity, to make sure that there is equal pay for equal work. And this is an opportunity for cooperation to be able to achieve a solution that tells a success for all of us. We are in the business of educating and to tell our students that education is so important to be able to economically be mobile and to be successful. However, some of the most educated people that are providing that education are being not given COLA and not given parity. And what kind of message is that to our students? That education isn't the solution? That is not the message we need to be doing. There is a movement in this country to bring back public education, to respect public education, and to respect the faculty and the staff that are the backbone of this public education, and they both are represented here tonight. I finish with this, that the contract must show the respect that is provided to the people that provide that education and that support the education system. And I ask that we work together to fight and get that done. The last thing I will say, even though I did say that was the last thing,
Yeah.
the last thing I will
You have to
say
close up, Jeff.
is today you can sign the initiative to help fund our education even more. Schools and Communities First is an initiative that we are collecting signatures in the back over here to help your education system fund that. So I ask us to work together to be able to provide for our public education system. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer? Yeah.
I think. So I believe that I'm the last speaker, so you guys are.
Richard Tholey.
Richard? Do you want to go first, Richard, or you want to go after? It's up to you.
More. Richard and Valerie Batchelor.
Okay, Valerie's going to cede her time to me.
Okay.
So, last chance. He's going to close it. All right. So I'm going to take the opportunity to actually read an email that I sent to the trustees in the past and that I've sent to the former chancellor, and I would like to make the information public, and also just to say it again to our new chancellor, so that everyone has the information. So I have spoken many times with our negotiating team and our past chancellors about the contract negotiations that we're all here to support. And I have spent a lot of time analyzing our budgets for the last several years. Many of the things in the FCMAT report are things that PFT representatives, myself included, have stood up here and pointed out were issues time and time again. And we've also been in the shared governance meetings where those items were discussed and pointed out time and time again that there were concerns that we had and that we raised. Part-time parity, we've been told again and again, there's no money for, right? So the email that I sent to our chief negotiator on the district side and to the trustees and our acting chancellor says this. So before I start listing the items that could be used to cover part-time parity, I'd like to be clear on what we're talking about when we talk about part-time parity. PFT has requested parity consistently focused on the 75% pro rata schedule. Those are our completely part-time faculty without outside full-time employment. We are looking to ensure that all part-time faculty who are paid off of that schedule are paid at an equal hourly rate as their full-time counterparts with the same education and the same experience. According to the district-provided spreadsheet, which was provided to the negotiating team almost 2 months after we requested it, we were told that parity would be $1.3 million in salary alone for just that salary schedule and $1.5 million with benefits included. Since there was a 12.5% cut to FTEF announced for the entire year, right, we do not believe that that was adequately included in that figure. And so that figure, that $1.5 million, we can safely assume is a ceiling, not a basement for what part-time parity will cost. We all know that the state provides funds that are specifically dedicated to part-time parity, and those funds amount to $370,000 last year. So if we subtract that from the $1.5 million that I just cited above, we get about $1.1 million required to reach parity. So how do we get there? How do we get this $1.1 million? Well, we have a couple of ideas that we have presented to the district and we have not received any response on. One are full-time faculty hiring dollars. The state provides money to the district to hire more full-time faculty. Because we are above the FON, which is the minimum number of full-time faculty that we have to have within our district in order to avoid a fine, the district is not hiring any more full-time faculty. We have to fight to even replace our retirees. And that's why we have large departments like Art at Merritt with one full-time faculty member serving the entire department. It's my understanding that the $835,000 that was given to us by the state for full-time hiring is not part of our Fund 1 budget and is therefore available to be used to close the gap and offer part-time parity. That's number one. Number two, we consistently hover at 50% of our Fund 1 dollars going to instructional costs. The 50% law says that 50% of Fund 1 dollars must go towards instructional faculty costs.
Jennifer, yeah.
Valerie's ceding her time to me.
Okay, no, we just did that already.
Oh, I already talked for 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the 50% law, I'll never finish. I'll be really quick. 50% law says that we have to spend 50% of Fund 1 dollars on instructional faculty. How can our money go up this year while we cut faculty, right? And we're still at 50%. Parcel tax dollars are supposed to be going to instructional costs. How can we be spending our parcel tax dollars appropriately, still be cutting faculty, and stay within the law? So I have one more. I'll send it to you by email. But my point is we have the money to do this. And we welcome you, Dr. Stroud, to our district, and we want to stand with you to fix the many problems that we all face together. But the first thing we have to do is settle this contract so that we can move on to the many other issues like our facilities, our budgeting problems, our technology problems, our payment of faculty problems.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Richard. Richard. We have to go.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
So once again, my name is Richard Tholey. Good evening. I want to welcome our new Chancellor on behalf of our SEIU members and employees. And I'm the chapter president, and I guess I failed to mention in the past, I'm also on the executive board of Local 1021, and so I serve as an Alameda County area representative, and we serve and represent over 64,000 members within our local. And so I'm here to add some support to PFT. We have a small number of our SEIU members here, and it's only going to grow as the PFT contract is left unbargained. And we're going to be entering bargain negotiations also, and you better believe we're going to be asking for COLA pass-through as well. Because at the same time, our staff are getting pretty frustrated with the favoritism going on at the campuses. We have our staff that are working out of class and not getting paid for it, not being recognized for doing that work. We have outdated job descriptions going back to 1982. We have job descriptions that are 10 years or more old, and this is very prevalent throughout the district. Quite frankly, what happens if we start speaking to our staff to stop doing the work that is not in their job descriptions? I'm going to start having those conversations because especially with the hourly situation, there was a heavy reliance on the campuses for hourly staff. We had more at Laney than we had permanent staff. And so with that, we have staff that had already been doing extra work. Now they're taking on even more extra work. We have in many cases, managers are failing to recognize that they are doing that extra work, so they're not paying them. We're going to start filing grievances. And I'm not coming here to threat. I don't like to portray myself like that.
Richard,
and
we have to stop.
I
Can you finish it?
Yeah, I just don't like being interrupted constantly. It's hard for me to concentrate when you're doing that. I'm sorry. Okay. So I just want to say that we are here to support faculty. We would also like the COLA pass-through, and we have several issues also that we're going to want to address. And, you know, like I've said from the beginning, I want to do this in a respectful manner, both ways. I welcome any conversations, any meetings to clarify anything regarding professional development funds, but I'm approachable. I would like to have discussions because I want to echo what Dr. Moore said, is there's changes going on right now that we are not being informed about. And so I don't know what's going on. We have a director that is being hired for financial aid at the district and at Merritt College. Which one is it? Where are we getting that extra money from? And so I don't know what's going on. So I have to have conversations with our members and our employees to kind of prep them for what may be coming. But it seems very non-transparent, and it puts me and our members on guard.
Okay.
We shouldn't have to work like that.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Good night. We're finished.
Thank you, Trustee Weinstein, and thank you to all the speakers who came this evening. We will move to 2.11, Chancellor's report. Chancellor Stroud, and can I just welcome you again in your seat here as Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you, President Bonilla, members of the dais here, board members, my colleagues here around the dais, community members, and friends. It's my pleasure to be able to address you. The first thing I want to say is I want to thank all of you and the community at large for such a warm welcome. It has been a tremendously pleasant experience to join Peralta and have faculty and staff and students, community members, board members, colleagues on the administration as all extend warm welcome to me and express their optimism for what's to come in the future. So I just want to thank you, and I did say to the board president, Bonilla, that I felt like yesterday was the first day of work, and I felt like I jumped on a treadmill that was already on and set at the run speed. But I also want to thank, I think that the entire district arranged for there to be an emergency drill, an emergency alarm, and an evacuation of the building in honor of my first day. So I want to thank you for that. My intention is to give you this Chancellor's update and to share with you a little bit about some things that are going on at the colleges. There are a couple of things that are regular, things that you are right to expect to get updates, but I will beg your pardon for not having some details after being on the job for 1.5 days or so. I want to stress, first of all, just so you hear some of the great things that are going on, I'll give you some college updates. The faculty and staff of each of the colleges are really engaged in some impactful student-centered work, and there are a few efforts that I want to highlight. At Berkeley City College, first of all, we need to congratulate the faculty, staff, and administration on their work because they have been identified by the Campaign for College Opportunity as one of the champions of higher education, and that's where they honor campuses that lead the state in associate degree transfer implementation. Congratulations. At the College of Alameda women's volleyball sophomore student athlete Jaylyn Campbell has been nominated for the CCCAA State Scholar Athlete Award. And what that means is that these students are recognized for excelling academically with at least a 3.5 GPA, athletically, and in citizenship, and they represent the positive outcome of dedication, hard work, and service. And since the fall 2018, Jaylyn has been enrolled with more than 15 units each semester, and she carries over a 4.0 GPA. She's majoring in history and plans to transfer to UC Berkeley in the fall. Congratulations, Jess. At Laney College last Saturday, Laney College hosted the Northern California Haas Technical Education Center Conference for machining educators serving high schools and community colleges. This was another opportunity to showcase Laney's nationally recognized machine technology program and to continue to strengthen the career pathways between Laney and our regional high school manufacturing program, so congratulations to Lainey. Over 75 people attended that conference, and the activities focused on lots of ways to expand and diversify interests in manufacturing as a career and offer hands-on professional training. There were 3 community colleges that were awarded the Haas Education Scholarship Funds, and Lainey was one of them, receiving $15,000 for this academic year. And over the last 6 years, Laney College has awarded 180 students $150,000 in scholarships for these funds, and is pleased to have the opportunity to award more students this year. And Merritt College, you probably have heard about Merritt having the visit from the Road Trip Nation, which is the big green RV, where they're debuting their newest career exploration. It's complete with resources that are available free to students, but that's not all. One of the faculty members, a counseling faculty member at Merritt, is so taken with Road Trip Nation that he connected them to the state chancellor's office in Sacramento, and they have made some arrangements to make this Road Trip Nation resources available to all 2.4 million community college students. Now, you're talking about having an impact in the community. That is an impact across the state. Congratulations, Dr. Perrins. All of the colleges have had Undocumented Student Action Week. They had a plethora of activities and programs and programming around Undocumented Student Action Week, including some of the things that have listed in that report. There was a webinar that was done by the California Community Colleges Office, the League, California Community College League for California, as well as the Foundation for California Community Colleges, called Immigrants Rising, the organization Immigrants Rising, and the Student Senate for California Community Colleges. And also, we have publicized the recent board endorsement on the Undocumented Student Action Week in on social media and in the Peralta blog, so it's listed in the report for you to be able to look at. All of the colleges engaged in Flex Day, so there's some very impactful flex activities that have been going on throughout the colleges. So I tried to highlight some of the things, one in each of the colleges. The classified professionals brought in undocumented community resource center staff and students to present UndocuAlly training and learning how faculty and staff can take action to create an inclusive environment in their service area and department, their classroom and offices for students without documentation, and that was at BCC. In Alameda, they had lots of discussions and workshops on the number of topics in guided pathways and behavior intervention teams to student outcomes assessment. At Laney, they did workshops in restoring the community and supporting formerly incarcerated students and applying the Peralta equity rubric to promote connection and belonging. And at Merritt, they hosted workshops on using mobile services, where one of the faculty provided lots of innovative strategies on using technology tools in the classroom. And at the district office, the staff addressed self-care steps and addressing challenging situations, and then the importance of classified senates and why the 2020 census and voting engagement matters. On some of the regular things that you expect to hear about, the CBT recommendations, one of the things that we do want to let you know is that the first 2 district-wide trainings for the department chairs, the first of the 2 district-wide trainings for the department chair was held on Friday, October the 11th, and the reviews have been mixed because they really have been in the position of trying to meet the needs of department chairs that need some of the very basic information. To some of the department chairs are far beyond that information, and so CBT is doing, I think, doing a great job of trying to take into consideration the wide range of needs in these meetings. So we'll keep you appraised of the progress of those types of things, as well as appraised of the progress on how we're doing in terms of the implementation of the CBT recommendations. I'd like to get in and get my arms wrapped around many of those, and I'm sure those things will start to come to the Board of Trustees meeting. And we gave you also an enrollment report, and if there are any questions about that enrollment report, then Dr. Brown is here to be able to answer some questions about it specifically. Nothing significantly different than the last enrollment report that you've seen that has shown a decrease in the enrollments, questions around or attention that's needed in terms of productivity, and some of the point-in-time comparisons from fall to fall or spring to spring in the enrollments and the strategies we might be looking at in order to address those. In terms of the FITMAC report, I don't have new things to give you right now, but what I will tell you is that on the first day, one of the first things that I've been introduced to is the matrix of FITMAT, where all of the recommendations of FITMAC, and then including the recommendations around CBT and the crosswalk to the accreditation processes, have all been laid out, identified with who's responsible for doing what, identified at what stage they are in terms of, in progress, completed, or not started, and identified who the disposition of it. In other words, what office is in it. I'll be wrapping my arms around that as well, and then look into giving the board the heads up about the different types of actions that I will be requesting from the board in response to the FITMAT reports. And with that, that concludes my update.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will go ahead, and if we have questions for the Chancellor at this time? Trustee Reese?
Hi, Chancellor. Actually, the question that I had was regarding the enrollment report.
Yes.
And as I look at the enrollment report and I look at our productivities, I was comparing it to 15, 16 all the way up. And as you were saying, there's been a historical decline, 15.87 and 15, 16 to 14.36 now.
Yes.
The question I guess that I had was, like all the other districts, it's always a very difficult decision to decide whether to cut classes and turn students away or to run classes, obviously, that are very low enrolled. But the one area where we are a bit fortunate, unlike other districts, is that we have the parcel tax. So I guess the question in my mind is, do we separate at all the classes that are justifiably low enrolled because of the parcel tax so that they don't affect the productivity in a way that it normally would if we were running those classes and would bring that productivity down? So. And I didn't mean to just kind of turn that on you, so I'm not sure if we have those questions yet, and I'm willing, we can talk about that later on as well. But it's just something that has been churning in my mind a little bit because that's not something that most districts have, and so it seems like it might be a good way to really look at what our productivity is, extracting those classes that are justifiably because of the parcel tax low enrolled.
Right. I will have to get back to you in terms of what processes we use. What I will tell you is that I have confidence that we'll be able to address that. I enjoy the fact that when I served as a vice president of instruction, I was instrumental in changing the productivity of the institution that I joined. We were at a 499 productivity, and that equals to around a little bit below 15 in the language that we use here. And I transferred that to ultimately through significant strategies turned it into 650 productivity, ended up being the highest productivity in the state. And part of that is because we provided information to faculty, particularly so they could understand the road of productivity. When we look at Peralta's productivity, which is at about a 4.15, 4.5, depending on what year you're looking at, then that translates to what's called at about 431 in productivity, and for the state, 525 is breaking even.
Right.
And so when you look at the difference in that, every 1 point in productivity can range from anywhere from $30,000 to $42,000. So when you look at 1 point of productivity, it's not just a matter of, we're not talking about productivity from the standpoint of something being kind of a judgmental thing. It's about a factual financial impact. And so in the end, what we have to do is we have to make sure that there's a balance between the productivity and the availability or access to the classes. So we'll look at what happens with the parcel tax and whether that's pulled out. But in the end, because those points equal very real ongoing dollars, we'll make sure that we're making the board aware of this is the impact of what it means to function at this level of productivity, to budget at this level of productivity. And if we increase it, then those are real dollars that are able to be used for the priorities, including the hiring of faculty and staff.
Thank you.
Trustee Brown?
I have a question about scheduling and the classes and the declining enrollment. And one of the factors that we have is a lot of students that are working. It's expensive to live here, and the students are working, and the daytime classes are very difficult for working students. And I'm wondering if, as part of our enrollment management plan, we have explored scheduling classes that may be low enrolled during times when they may be more accessible, particularly those that are, if a student needs general ed and they're working, say they have a family and they're working during the day, are we looking at scheduling some of the classes at times when they may be more accessible to our students, and particularly with 70% of part-time faculty that we have that need to pick up classes, if that might be a way to address some of our, the needs of our students and the needs of our faculty, so that the downsizing doesn't close opportunities if we're possibly exploring other ones.
Yes, that's exactly what the college vice presidents of instruction and presidents have been looking at. And it's precisely also what the CBT training is about as well. This is something that's been ongoing, is discussing and training around creating a schedule that fits student need. And we have some big adjustments to make in that area. Which is in progress. The training that CBT did is something that we did similarly, but this week with CBT, we're unveiling to the department chairs district-wide a tool that institutional research developed over the summer that will allow for a look at, by discipline, the schedule district-wide. And this is something that we've been wanting to have, either purchase or develop. Luckily, we developed it with in-house talent, so that as a chair is building their schedule, they can see what the other colleges are building. In addition, in flex activities, for the past 2 flex, this past August as well as January, Scott Hoshida, who's the staff development officer, and my office, we have gone back to something that happened years ago in our district, where we've called disciplines together district-wide to have meetings during district flex to talk about the schedule and talk about mutually building the schedule. It has been said that it's taken us a while to get down to this level of low enrollment, and it is going to take us a minute to dig us out of it as well. But these are the key pieces that we're looking at. As we've talked about and faculty talked about reducing the FTF, which we do have to do, and FCMAT recommended as well, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're pushing students out if we have a really smart schedule. The VPIs are working on the block scheduling. We're working on utilizing SEPs to make sure there's night, evening, and weekend classes so that you can still get the schedule you need and reduce FTF. And then ultimately, if we bring the productivity up and we have an expert here as our chancellor, then we'll be able to earn more revenue and put that back into the places that are most meaningful for students.
Sure. Trustee Handy.
I do have a question, and it's actually regarding Berkeley City College. We had an evening program, the PACE program, which no longer exists. I believe this was before your time. And have we looked at how the elimination of that program actually impacted your the lowered enrollment, and how possibly reinstating that program would bring students back, because it was a program specifically for working adults.
And that's through the chancellor, right? That's through the
That's through the chancellor.
Yes,
I mean,
of course.
I'm not sure she has that information either, but.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the PACE program and the history of it as well.
Yeah, but I was just wondering if we're looking at some of the programs that we had before that were successful, that for whatever reason were eliminated, but might be able to come back, especially for the evening hours for working adults.
So I asked Dr. Tomangos to speak to that. Dominique.
Great. So Trustee Handy, you are right. We did have a very successful PACE program for many, many years. And prior to my arrival at Berkeley City College, the previous president, Dr. Budd, had reviewed the program with the vice president for instruction, and it wasn't as successful as it used to be. So they stepped back to reassess and work with the faculty to try to offer the courses during an alternative time. And at that time, that was not working as well. And so what we're doing now in terms of serving our working adults is we have a strong partnership with Berkeley Adult School. And so we are now developing robust guided pathways with Berkeley Adult. And as I've reported in previous meetings, just in 1 year, we've increased the number of adult students from Berkeley Adult coming to BCC to about 130 students, just in 1 year.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move to consent. And I need a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second? And we have a second. And we will take roll call. Thank you.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli-Abella Reese? Yes. Trustee Brown? She's not present. Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move to action items, and we'll start with the action items that were pulled. So we'll move to 6.2. This is consider approval of CMAS purchase agreement under CMAS contract pricing and provisions with OHO Technology, Inc. to purchase equipment, software, and services needed to replace the head end of the existing district-wide security camera system in an amount not to exceed $426,014.75. And we will go ahead and take some questions. Trustee Reese?
I'm going to need a bit of clarity on this, because as I was looking at, maybe the first question should be, our blue phones and our security cameras are two distinct things, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so I guess the two questions that I have are, as I look at the history that you had put here in terms of the original base bid all the way down to change orders 5 through 9, the base bid and the contingency from March 13, I had to search around for that, but that was for the blue phones?
Yeah.
So,
So I think what's confusing is that it's our standard process here to show you all the contracts that a vendor has. And so what you're seeing there is a run-up of the blue phone contracts, but the OHO technology that you're being asked to approve this evening is the $425,000, which is a separate item. So what you're seeing in that chart is just the blue phone.
is the history,
the
but
history.
OHO Technologies has other projects too, aside from the blue phones and the cameras. So those are not included in this history if you're looking, if we're talking about all of the vendor contracts, right?
I'd have to look that up.
Brenda, I want to talk.
Okay, and then could you explain this to us for a bit? Because as I'm thinking about the cameras, the head does not, it doesn't make sense to me, because it seems like you're talking about servers and you're talking about camera heads. So I guess as I kept on looking at this, and it wasn't in layman vernacular, it didn't talk to me. So if you could just explain what it is we're approving, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so you're being asked to approve the first phase of a replacement of the camera system. You have heard and you have stated that you're concerned about this particular system, and it is not fully functional. In order to fix the system, we need to replace the computers behind the camera system, because everything these days is digital. And the head end is in fact, the computerized brain of the system. And that's phase one of a multi-phase replacement project.
Phase one out of how many phases do you think? Because if the phase one is $400 and X dollars, $1,000,
This
how
is
many
the,
phases?
yeah, so they'll have to replace the head end first, then they'll do a assessment of the rest of the cameras, including the ones that are down and the ones that are working, so they can assess the amount of life left. And then we'll replace the cameras on a probably per campus basis, so it could be multiple phases. We haven't gotten that far. They need to do their replacement first and then their research.
Okay, and may I ask my follow-up question, if that's okay? My follow-up question is that the budget source is Measure A. And again, I know that we continue to ask the same thing, but we're getting a lot of money out of budget source Measure A, and we don't have a sense of how much money is in there, what's her plan for expenditures, and we continue to kind of ask you that. But it does worry me that there are many things on the consent calendar for facilities that's coming out of Measure A, and we yet still not know what and where and how much we have in that particular coffer.
So the previous budget plan for Measure A was approved before my arrival, but there is a number of categories, both at the campus level and at the district level, and that is where these funds are being allocated from. We are in the process, with the help of finance, because they're the ones that track it for us, doing a run-up of all the categories so that we can do a comprehensive plan for the board. But due to the shortage of staff, both in DGS and in finance, we haven't quite gotten caught up to have everything complete. But there's plenty of funding available if that's the concern.
Can we let Trustee,
So,
you
yeah.
can follow up, but make sure that you move
Oh, sure.
Trustee
Yes, yes, yes.
Gonzalez, and then I've got Trustee Brown and Trustee Weinstein in the queue.
And to that statement, my concern is not so much that we have plenty of money. My concern is the accountability and, again, a transparency to the public in terms of how we're spending that money. So it's not that we have a lot of money, but I'd like all of us to be able to see kind of how we're spending it, and the public to be able to see how we're spending it.
Okay, duly noted.
Thank you. Nikki, you are on.
Trustee Nikki.
Thank you, and thank you for the response to the last question. My concern with this item actually was that it says that it is part one of a four-part, I think there were 4 stages, a 4-phase project to restore the functionality of the system. And without seeing the other 3 phases, I have no idea what this is eventually going to cost, or what the timeline is. The timeline apparently for this one is, I guess, in about a year to get it done, something along those lines. By the time we're all done, how long is it going to take, and how much money are we going to spend?
I'll have to get those finalized numbers, but as I said earlier, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, what we need to do is replace the computerized system, the brains, first, and then they can do a more comprehensive assessment of which parts of the system are not working. So it's hard for us to put a number on it. I would venture to say that the head end will be the most expensive single phase, because the parts after this will be cameras and infrastructure connecting to the cameras, but I'd be cautious about giving a number at this point in time.
Without that number, it's very difficult to vote on this. If that number is like $5 million, then I want to rethink the entire thing. The number is a few $100,000, well, all right. That makes some sense. So I think this is complicated to have on consent, frankly.
Trustee Brown.
So at the end of 2018, we had about $1.2 million in costs that were related to safety on facilities. And those were, we did not get to implement those for various reasons, and I think it had to do with having staff in our finance department to make sure that the funding was approved with the contracts. But we had established a safety committee, and there were a number of contracts that went through safety. One of them was this, replacing the heads. So I do recall that we had a number of safety projects that were supposed to be done, including the blue phones that had been implemented or begun in 2018 after an assessment of the safety needs of the colleges. My question is twofold. One is, do we have, could we get some tie-in to the work that we had done before? I know that we've had transition. We had Vice Chancellor Acaro leave without a transfer of information. And so what I'm wondering is, can we tie those things together? Because we did get a budget assessment. We got a bond project update regarding how much money was left in Measure A, and we got this, and that's how we were able to say we want these safety projects done. And I don't know if the safety committee leaders remember that, but there were several things, including the blue phones not working, the security cameras not working because it wasn't feeding the information back for the observation and the reporting. And there were also issues regarding the phones, not the blue phones, but the internal phones, the phone system being able to work in the event of an emergency so that our classrooms were wired in the event of an emergency. There were a number of things. And so what I'd like to do is not lose the value of the work that had been put in before by staff and by board members to address these issues, because we tend to reinvent the wheel because we have a lot of executive team turnover, and it does us a disservice, as noted in the CBT program and report and the FICMAT report, when we don't have the institutional knowledge. So what I'd like to ask is if we could tie those things together so that we know which projects have been previously approved and identified as priorities, because I see that we are revisiting those, and making the cameras work was part of what we had discussed. And I remember Yamis Johnson stood right there in a student report and said that that was a priority for Merritt College, and we're getting to it, but now we're forgotten where we had been. So I think that tying the projects that are coming before us now with their origin might help clear up some of the confusion, but it also will reinforce that we're on a path that had been well considered and had been adopted some time ago.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Who else do I have in the queue? Trustee Weinstein?
Thank you. And I do remember that report. And I'm hoping that somebody has it. Because at the end, the reports were given to the Chancellor at the end of one of the evenings, and it was from the committees, and so there were recommendations that were made, and it would be good to go over those and see where we are with each one, and would give us a better sense of timing. But the thing that I always find difficult about this, and you know, I have two worries. One is that by the time we get done with one part of it, it's going to be obsolete. And that's happened before, where it takes a while for us to get going, and then they change things. And so I'm just wondering if we're going to find ourselves in that same situation.
I don't think so here. In this case, what we are recommending is a new system, which is why we're replacing the head end, the computerized system behind it. You'll get a fresh start and the ability to upgrade the cameras and the infrastructure behind it, but you have to start with the brains of the system.
Right, and I do understand that, but I think while we get the other parts of it done right after the brains, let's hope that when that's done, the brain's still functioning.
Oh, I mean, you're buying, VC Lamb may be able to speak more to this, but you're buying pretty high-end servers. If you see we actually have the whole proposal in there. These are kind of the latest and greatest technology. They're called blades. They're very thin. They're very high-powered. You know, the system that we're working with now, I think, is 12 to 15 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And those servers have served us well, but they're at the end of their life. So we don't anticipate that this project will stretch out over years, but I would hope to get the head end done quickly and then start the camera project right behind it.
So and I just have one more question. While you're doing that, do we have blue phones that are functioning?
So the board had approved half of the previous contract, so that was phase one. We now have half the blue phones working at Laney, which is 15 phones. We have half the phones now working at Merritt, which is approximately 10 phones. We have no phones at College of Alameda and no phones at BCC. And that was the intent of phase two, which we are trying to get started, but we don't have the project manager hired yet.
So could you keep us posted on that? Because that's it's in terms of security, that's really important for our for colleges.
Yeah, yes, we will. And again, we just need to hire a project manager to start that project.
All right, thank you.
Trustee Brown? Trustee Handy, I'm sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to get a clarification of something. As I was reading through this packet, it was my wrong assumption that these things would be coming under the bond because they're infrastructure and deferred maintenance. Why are they not eligible for that as opposed to Measure A?
Thank you, Trustee Handy. Let me just check. I believe this one is Measure A. Yes, it is.
It's Measure A.
But why
So
would it-
you're right, it's infrastructure improvements.
But that would be under the, I'm sorry.
So this camera head-end upgrade is an infrastructure improvement, and it is being funded by Measure A. So you are absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my question was, or maybe I'm just confusing this, but the other thing is that I think it's really important that we do get these cameras up, and technology is only as good as for 16 to 18 months, and then all of your knowledge, you're just going to have to start all over again. So we're always going to be upgrading our technology, be it our servers here or this. So I think it's excellent at this time because we have the technology now where even with limited sheriffs and things walking around, but they actually can see, have visuals all over the campuses. So I think that it's very important that we get this moving as quickly as possible for our safety, especially with it getting dark so early right now and students really being concerned. And that also impacts our enrollment at some of the campuses that are spread out and stuff in the wintertime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Reese.
And to piggyback off of that question or statement, the completion date is October 15, 2020, and I know that you just told Trustee Weinstein that the blue phones are in their processes of being completed, but the cameras, so will the cameras, if this is phase 1 out of 4 phases, finished October 15 of 2020, will they be working between now and the end of phase 1?
No, the camera system comes after the head-end replacement. I don't know exactly, I don't have the dates with me, but I'd be happy to follow up with you to give you the estimated completion date of the head-end. And then the second phase will be an assessment of each of the camera systems, and then they can give us a proposal for those replacement of those cameras. So we'll bring you back more information and more detailed information once we get the computerized system replaced.
Thank you. And to be clear, that means that the cameras are not working, will not be working until you
Some
find
of the
out.
cameras are working under the old servers, but some of them are
Okay.
down. So we do have a partially working system at this point.
Okay.
And they will remain working until we have a chance to change the system.
Okay. But yes, please get back to us about that.
Sure.
Did you have a question, Nikki?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Trustee Gonzalez.
I'm really uncomfortable with spending $400,000 on the first part of a project and then having to do the assessment to know what needs to be done for phases 2 through 4, what percentage of the cameras are going to be functioning, et cetera. This strikes me as being not quite complete. Here's a basic question. Trustee Reese just asked, will the cameras be functioning? And we're told, yeah, some of them. Well, is that like 10%? Is that 50%? If it's 10%, does it make sense to spend $400,000 to keep 10% of the cameras functioning, only to then come back and do the assessment? It seems to me this is not thought through clearly, and that with a couple of weeks of staff work, they could come back with a more clear report that would help us understand better how to spend almost $500,000 and then understand what part of the budget is that. I would like to make a motion to separate this item from the consent calendar and vote on it separately, because I can't support it as it is right now.
It's already separated.
It's separated. This is a independent, this is an action item. Trustee Gonzalez.
May I
Okay,
It is
I'm sorry. I
yeah.
thought this was consent.
No, that's okay. But here's what I would like to offer. So knowing that this is a very critical project that I believe the board believes it needs to move forward, I would offer that, I would offer an amendment to this item in that as is, it move forward, but that we get and this is to the Chancellor, that we get a Measure A bond project list, listing every current project. We've been asking for this for a long time, but I'd like to make this an amendment to this contract, that we get that list, and that list be produced for us by our next meeting, so that we can have some assurances with all the questions that have been asked, that it tie back to what Trustee Brown had referenced in the former security committees. There seems to be some documentation that this needs to be tied back to as well. And that's an amendment that I'm offering, and I would need a second to approve that.
Second.
I'd like to comment on Trustee Gonzalez's question, which was, I was.
I'm sorry, we're right in the middle of a vote. Yes, but as soon as we finish this piece. So we have a second, and we'll go ahead and open if there's any questions on that particular issue. And seeing none, VC Sada, please.
So I was told by police services that it's not good practice for me to give you exact numbers, which is why I've specifically not done so. But I can provide to Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen's question a percentage. Currently, 1/3 of your cameras are not working, and they cannot be fixed with the existing head end that we have, which is why we are trying to replace it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I just want to make sure that the amendment was recorded. Thank you. And we have a second, and can we have roll call, please, on this item?
Student Trustee Stanley? Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
No.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We will now move to item 6.7. And 6.7 is consider approval of an independent consultant agreement for construction management services with Kitchell Construction, Inc., doing business as Kitchell CEM and Kitchell Construction Management for construction management services for various ADA improvements and urgent projects in the amount of $885,120.
So moved.
It's been moved and second, and do we have questions? Trustee Reese.
This was another contract that I also had a bit of a problem with. And as I looked at the ADA projects, specifically as it related to what they bullet pointed or delineated on their Kitchell letter, they are working on ADA items, ADA door adjustments, the new pool equipment, pool restroom project management for Prop 39. Those were all delineated on their original memo. And as I thought about our last meeting, we had approved Ojo Technologies, 2 of them, for $160,000 and for $14,000. And what we approved were also ADA modifications for the theater, the G189A, G181AD. I'm going to make, are you?
No,
okay.
you keep going.
Okay. And then I continued to look back at ADA modifications, and what I found from May of 19 also dealt with those same rooms and the swimming pool and the Laney Music Room for J.H. Fitzgerald for $283,000 and Kitchell for $24,380. So my question as I bring all of those together is, these several contracts seem to be dealing with the same ADA situations and modifications. And so I'm, again, a bit confused because we have many different people working ostensibly on the same thing, and I'm not seeing a comprehensive narrative in the context that's allowing me to take these fragments and piece them or thread them together.
So I think what you're asking is how does there's two Kitchell, let me start here. There's two Kitchell contracts. The first one was to get the Payne versus Peralta project started, which we did. And this is the second Kitchell contract, which will address a number of other Payne versus Peralta items, as well as the Delson versus Peralta items. When you said the J.H. Fitzmaurice contract, that is a general contractor, and Kitchell, just to distinguish between the two, is a construction manager. So those are two different things. They do different, they provide different services. J.H. Fitzmaurice is the actual builder of those rooms, and Kitchell Construction Management is simply managing them to completion.
And the Ojo Technologies also that we approved last week or 2 weeks ago?
I believe you mean Opening Technologies, which is a
I'm sorry,
door
you're right.
company.
Opening Technologies, yes.
And Opening Technologies is providing a number of services. What they've been contracted to do is, as a settlement agreement, as part of the consent decree, we are obligated to provide a fix to any door that's broken within a 4-hour window. And you approved a contract that gives us the ability to do that. But in addition to any door being broken, we also have to replace a number of doors, specifically at the Laney campus. And that was a 3-year contract that you approved last time, the first year of which will replace and repair and modernize a number of doors that are currently not working and are out of compliance.
So how is the Kitchell contract that we're approving right now different or adding to that?
So Kitchell's contract, because they're construction managers, is essentially a time-based contract, and it expired already. They've essentially run out of fee to provide those services. So this contract is asking the board to approve a fee that's based on a schedule, which is on the second page of the Kitchell document, that carries from September through December of 2020. And there are a number of projects listed there. To sort of cut to the chase, the idea was to, as they wrap up the Payne versus Peralta projects and begin the Delson versus Peralta projects, there are a series of milestones at the 3-month, 6-month, 12-month, and 18-month position. And as they get through those milestones, rather than taper the size of their team, we're actually backfilling them with additional work, because it's more efficient to have Kitchell provide the services than to hire a new construction manager that's not familiar with the projects or how we cut POs or how we pay invoices and all the internal processes of the district. So you're actually getting, in our estimation, a higher value and more efficiency by keeping Kitchell on board from, again, September 1st of 2019 through December 31st of 2020.
Wrap up my question.
Sure.
For me, then, I think in some, and I'm understanding that, and thank you very much for that explanation. I'm trying to kind of strike this balance between being able to look at this and do our fiduciary responsibility, but also make sense of what it is we're approving financially, especially if they're big numbers. So from where I'm sitting, I think the question that I have for you, maybe for us, is to how can this come to us in a manner that is a bit more manageable and understandable and accessible? Because when we look at these different contracts and they seem to have many commonalities in the subheading, it's a bit confusing and it raises a red flag to a certain extent. And I don't want it to if it need not, but it's, again, fragmented. And so if there was a way that we can get it where it's far more manageable, I think that would be quite appreciated.
Okay, noted. I would I'll always, of course, take feedback from the board about how we can present information in a more legible manner, but we put it out there in the way that we as construction professionals understand it, but if it's not clear, we're happy to come do extra work sessions or whatever.
Professional.
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate your patience with that.
Trustee Brown.
So we have, with regard to the ADA, a combination of deferred maintenance, which have become ADA issues because of the lack of upkeep. And we have, at least as my last count is about 30 projects, 30 different projects that are on a sheet that lists the ADA work that has to be done. And Kitchell, being a project manager, is necessary to shepherd through, to steward the design and the bid of the projects. And without Kitchell, we can't even go out to bid to get the general contractors to do the work. And we have the issue of the job on call contract, which was the door opening contract, which was before, but part of the reason that I think this thing seems to be in varied parts is because the overall, the 10,000-foot picture is on that list of projects that we have, and these are different pieces to implement that work order or that task of coming into compliance to be in compliance with the consent decree. So we have the consent decree, about 30 projects, and then these are all the pieces: design, bid, project management, inspection, that are all going to be different contracts that are going to be related to this. In terms of how to relay this information in a manner that is more cogent and that it appears to be that shows how it's interconnected, that is the purpose of a facilities committee. We don't have committees anymore. I've said this before. It makes it easier for the public to be able to see, to be present for the meetings and see the transparency in the decision-making and the discussion, and it's easier to keep track of your projects because you have subcommittees that are going through the process and they're continuously watching and reporting out. And that was, we combined the facilities and the security committee before. But in any case, these are, this is a path we've already trodden. These projects, these contracts are all related to that specific consent decree, and it's necessary to have the construction manager, or we don't get to go past step one, because at my last count, we have, what, 2 project managers in facilities?
Trustee Brown, we're down to 3 consulting project managers. So we have 2 from Kitchell, which this contract will extend, and we have 1 from Swinnerton.
See.
And that's all we have.
Right, and so in order to do the volume of work that we have to do to meet our legal compliance, not to mention the federal law for Americans with Disabilities Act, but our consent decree in federal court, these are all pieces, and I can understand why it is hard to keep the idea in one's head, because there's a 10,000-foot picture and all these are the tasks that are associated with it. I would suggest that we possibly consider revisiting the committee structure so that these processes can be kept in a sort of an organized fashion as it works its way through to the board, and it'll allow the staff to present the connectivity of all of these projects or these contracts in a manner that provides the a track record, a pathway that makes it at least a little bit more obvious.
I'd like to say something.
Thank you. Trustee Gonzalez, please.
I'm listening to the various questions and responses on this item as well as on the last item. And I'd like to echo something that Trustee Reese just said. As trustees, we're not the content experts here, but we are trying to be representatives of the public, holding up high standards and making sure our money's well spent. In our district, we have a long history of failure on facilities delivery. And I think we have ourselves to blame for this because we do not demand the information that would allow us to set standards and make appropriate decisions. I've been asking for timelines, budgets, deliverables on every single project. I've been asking for comprehensive information so that we could look at the overall cost. You go back all the way to the early PeopleSoft decisions that our board made, where we put in $1 million and then a year later we put in another $10 million, and here we are 15 years later and it's still not done, and it's millions and millions, because we don't demand a full budget with timelines and deliverables. I think this is the standard that we need to have here, and on this item it's really challenging. Again, the Vice Chancellor Sata, your comments were very, very helpful. But those are the kinds of things we want to see, as you know, in staff reports, so that we can do this. And again, I want to see timelines, deliverables, and full budgets.
Thank you for that. We'll take that to heart.
Thank you, Trustee. And I will, so I definitely have some comments on this. And so the Kitchell contract just presents a large problem for us in that the ADA, consent decree, and contempt of court-related work is extremely urgent, as you heard Trustee Brown reference. And the board has already approved a level of discretion that allows for the Chancellor and DGS to move those projects forward rapidly to address the concerns necessary to satisfy the decrees. However, this agenda item and the attachments are unclear as to what relates to litigation emergency and what does not. As presented, it reads as if the urgent pieces are possibly packaged with other ADA and DGS needs that the district may have but were not included in the discretion and exemptions that the board was comfortable granting to expedite and responding to the litigation. This contract seems rushed, especially given that it was initially presented as an $885,000 amendment to a much smaller contract, and now we see it coming back in this form for the final agenda. Here are three issues that I'll raise that are just very, very difficult and that have not been answered. Given that the indicated source of funds is Measure A bonds, general project descriptions bundled with other projects as defined in this contract do not reflect or ensure that the district is satisfying its obligation under the bond measure to use the funds for only permitted Measure A projects and could put the district in further peril. B, bundling Prop 39 as defined in this contract project further complicates and confuses this contract, as there are no specific explanations, and the board has been told that there are no such projects underway at this time because Prop 39 funding had sunset on June 30th, 2019. Thirdly, the board has repeatedly requested, and you've heard that time and time here again, an updated bond project list showing expenditures of Measure A funds and any remaining unused funds which remains outstanding to date. Authorizing the use of this large amount of money of $885,000 without such information and without knowing what the proposed projects that Kitchell will be working on that align with Measure A bond language and pre-approved projects, for me, is just highly inappropriate right now. And with that,
So I have a couple answers for you.
Yes.
The first one is that I'm afraid that the two lawsuits that you just mentioned, you've confounded the two of them. You gave us the ability to use the exception for Payne Peralta only and not for Delson. And the reason that we're here asking for this time is that, as I said earlier, there's a 3-month deadline, a 6-month deadline, a 12-month deadline, and an 18-month deadline. And so what this allows us to do is, if we can start right away, we can have Kitchell hire the appropriate general contractors, and in some cases, they need to hire architects to actually prepare drawings, which will take a few months to execute. They would then need to go to DSA, and then they would have to go into construction. We cannot use the exemption for those projects, which is why the length of the contract is what we're proposing. The other piece of it is we have a number of projects that have what we call multiple colors of money or multiple fund strings. Proposition 39 is in here not because we're trying to confuse the fund strings. Proposition 39 is a 5-year program that does sunset in June. Peralta Community College District, prior to my arrival, did not spend it in time. The Chancellor's office has said they will not pull it back yet, as long as we can spend it quickly. So we're trying to forward that one so we can save over $1.3 million of funds to the district that will get clawed back if we don't finish the work by the middle of 2020. And then finally, the other projects, again, are the finish up of the Payne Peralta, which does have the exception. Those are quite urgent, but those are under good control at this point because we have taken care of the door issue. And a few months ago, you approved a elevator contract, which allows us to address some of those broken elevator issues. So I think clearly you're the board. You will make the decision in an up or down vote. But our recommendation is to approve this contract as it is. Just as a side note, I do want to point out that in the last meeting or the meeting before, you approved the Swinnerton contract, which was a construction management contract to the tune of 1.27. So it was a much larger contract structured in the same manner where they have a single project that they're focused on, which is the Laney Locker Room project, but they are also doing a number of smaller, urgent infrastructure projects that need to be addressed primarily at the Laney College campus. So again, without this contract, we would lose possibly 2 more project managers, leaving DGS with a grand total of 1 project manager. So we would urge you to, obviously you make the decision, I don't want to say that, but I would urge just to go forward as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Chancellor, did you have Trustee Brown?
Yeah, I was just going to say that before I heard about the $1.2 million clawback, I was thinking about that 3-tiered 30 task list that we looked at. And the process goes project manager to manage the design bid project. They don't do the hiring. They actually help put together the specs. They follow the competitive bidding process, which is part of the procurement under the Public Contract Code. And then they make sure they manage the contract and do the contract administration. These are all basic elements of public construction and public bidding that we've done over and over and over again. So none of this is new. And it's also coupled with the urgency of the consent decree that we're all aware of and that we all are supporting to be in compliance with. So I'm not sure what part of this is new. It doesn't strike me as new. There don't strike me to be any unfamiliar pieces or unusual pieces, and the coupling of money is something that happens in public construction because we're underfunded, so we cobble together funding sources. So I think that with those questions answered, the prudent and responsible thing to do would be to allow the project to go forward by giving it a positive vote, because we've had our professionals put the contract together. We've had it reviewed by procurement, by our legal counsel, DWK, with respect, which has a specialty in construction law. And through review of this and understanding what we have agreed that we're going to comply with, being the consent decree and the number of tasks on it, this is part of the process that we need to implement.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. If there are no further comments, we can do roll call.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow? Yes. Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
I'm going to vote yes here, and Chancellor Stroud, it's in your court. This is your staff, and I'm just going to trust that you will figure this out and make it work.
Trustee Napoli-Abella-Reese?
I will also vote yes, repeating exactly what he had said.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes, with the addendum.
And Trustee Bonilla?
No.
Thank you. Motion carries.
We will move to item 6.8, but before we move to 6.8, please allow me to provide a little bit of context. So I will make a motion to approve A1 Protective Services, which will allow the Chancellor we will actually ask the Chancellor to ensure that there is a proper transition with the current security contract that's in place right now. We have ABC security contract in place. So my recommendation is that we approve item 6.8 with the assurance from the Chancellor that she create a transition plan that allows for ABC contract services to not impact the campuses during this transition. That's a motion that needs a second. Thank you. Discussion. Trustee
Yes.
Reese.
Can we talk about this a bit more? It's a lot of money, and it's in my mind, it almost came out of nowhere, and I don't know if it's replacing ABC. And what I mean by coming out of nowhere is that I thought that we were going to get one other presentation to give us more options in terms of security. And if this is replacing ABC, if I'm reading this correctly, then it is far more expensive than ABC was. So by quite a few million. So I'd like to know why and how did this emerge as one of the top choices?
So it's replacing ABC, and the contract is a 2-year, 8-month contract, which takes us, it basically gets us up to the close of this fiscal year, and you have 3 pull-out points. We will be able to have an administrative review of this new company, A1, at the end of this fiscal year, and then make a decision about whether we want to go forward with the second fiscal year, and likewise, we get to do another administrative review and then a third fiscal year. And so what you're seeing here in terms of the total is about 5% more in terms of their billable rates with a higher level of service compared to ABC. But the total $2.7 million is actually a 2-year, 8-month contract with pull-out spots. And we designed the system so that we would have time between now and the end of the fiscal year to actually do a more comprehensive review of the overall district security needs as requested by the board. So this now gives us 8 months, assuming it passes tonight, to put together a comprehensive plan which would represent the 5 principles that the board had asked us to memorialize in the AXO contract, Alameda County Sheriff's Office, back in June of 2019.
Trustee Brown.
Okay, is there any way that we could possibly have some sort of community input, some sort of, I mean, the students haven't had an opportunity to talk to us about how they feel about how they feel about the level of security we're providing, how the interaction with the security. We're sort of, I understand that there's an effort to provide a service, and we are running and shooting, as we say in Texas. We got to keep the ball moving, but we really need to pause at some point with these large dollar amounts and try and have a conversation with the community that we serve to make sure that what we're structuring for them is something that they're understanding and that they are accepting, or they could tell us if we are not getting it right. But I still feel like we're flying a bit blind, and it's because we haven't had the conversations to appropriately underlie the services that we're trying to provide, and we keep pushing forward without taking a pause to have that conversation. So my question is, can we schedule some time to interact with our students regarding the security and the safety? Because we absolutely need to be responsive to their needs and hear their voices, and we simply have not had an opportunity to do that yet.
And we agree with you, Trustee Brown, and we apologize for that. We will definitely do that. I guess, to a certain degree, it's a lack of staff, but we have not forgotten. What we're really seeking here is an 8-month extension to buy us that time so that we can do a more thorough analysis for the board, have a presentation, workshop, whatever you need, and then analyze all 3 parts of our security system, the Alameda County Sheriff's contract, this private security contract, and of course the security aid program, which is our own students, and to sort of tune up what proportion we think we need from each of those 3 legs of the stool, so to speak, and to visit and confirm the values that each of those may represent. And those were clear requests from the board when we made the amendment to the previous AXO contract. So we haven't forgotten about it. We just need to buy a little time to be able to put that together for you.
Chancellor, you got your calendar out? Can we skip?
Trustee Handy.
I had similar questions when I saw the contract, but the thing that I would really like to know more about on any of the companies that are bringing, especially with ones providing security, is their training, their cultural competence, their the makeup, the diversity, as well as the gender, so that we know that they are hiring people. We're hiring the company, but we don't have control over who they hire. We want to make sure that the people that they hire to come to this contract are people who are trained to be with the student community and to embrace the student community and not come with a policing type of attitude, but one of service and security. So I would like to know more about them. I mean, on some contracts we do, like elevator companies and stuff that have absolutely no diversity or gender or racially. But it's kind of a locked thing, so you have no choice. If you're going to have elevators, you have this union, and they're not minorities in it. But on things that we can control, especially when there's direct services with the students, I personally would like to know that those questions have been asked as well.
Thank you. I can't give you the makeup of the guards at this point in time, but I can tell you that this is a local firm founded and started by 2 women, both retired police officers. The director of operations is a African-American male, as is the director of quality control. We met with them today, actually, and they're very sensitive to our needs, and in fact laid out a 2-month transition program wherein they would also work with the presidents and the business managers at each of the campuses, because they wanted to get to know our campus leaders to better understand not only the campus, but also to understand what their specific needs are, and to interview the existing staff in case there are any staff that our presidents look favorably upon and want to keep.
Trustee Weinstein.
Thank you for the work on this. You just recently said something about an 8-month extension. So can you just clarify me, an 8-month extension of what?
So we're asking for I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used the word extension. We're asking for a 2-year, 8-month contract.
Oh, 2 years.
And the first period ends after 8 months, at which we can walk away from the contract. Or if things are working well, we can continue for a first year and then a second year.
So after the first 8 months, we can reevaluate?
Correct.
Okay. And when does it start?
The contract would start on November 1st, but we would have a 2-month transition period because we need to transition from ABC Security to this new A1 security company. So our due diligence will make sure that we're paying for 2 sets of guards at the same time. We have to figure out the details of exactly when that switches over.
Mm-hmm.
But the new company has laid out a conceptual scheme of how that happens. And that's why we met with them today. Next step is to go visit the campuses.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other, Trustee Withrow, my timekeeper.
Oh, for the chair, it's 10 o'clock. That's the time we're supposed to be completing and securing. Make a motion that we extend the meeting until 10:30.
Don't all jump at once. We need a second. We have a second, thank you. So we will roll call on 6.8. We have one more question, okay.
If we opted out of this contract after 8 months, is there a penalty for doing so? It's
No, there's not.
2.8. There isn't. And our extension, there was an ABC extension that we were also supposed to have. Was there an ABC contract extension that was a possibility?
Yes, the plan is to come back in ratification once we tune up the amount of time that we need for transition.
Right, so that's built into the amendment that allows for Chancellor to create that transition for us.
I have one more question.
Yes, Trustee Brown.
What is the quantification? What is the quantification of the 8-month period? I see there's a 15-day termination clause, but I did not catch the 8-month amount. And I suppose I could do the math on the 2.7, but I don't know if that would be exactly accurate if there's a mobilization cost. Is it front-loaded?
No, it's actually, it's prorated. Yeah, so 8-month period's a little less and then a little bigger on the second and third years.
I mean, it even has the hourly rates, but it just still seems like a lot of money.
The 8-month period was frankly just done to sync it up with our fiscal year.
Me and my Great Dane can patrol Peralta. Stop. Just turn that.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please, on item 6.8?
Student trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
It was a
Trustee
yes.
Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
I'm gonna say yes with the caveat that we have to have this student convening really soon. We owe it to our students to do that.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes, and with the concern that we really have to figure out how much money we're spending, as we go through the year, so that we don't get in a worse situation than we are. So when we approve things, we're kind of approving things one after another, and I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to how much money is going out.
Thank you for that.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. We will move into action item 7.1, consider approval of the district bank signers, resolution number 19/20-10. Can I have a motion?
Move approval.
It's been approved. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. No questions, roll call, please.
Student trustee Stanley? Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan? Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown? Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. If we can just turn trustee, keep him on. Thank you. 7.1, consider amendment of 5/14/19 approved, 7.2, consider amendment of May 14, 2019 approved item for Heather Dodge, Berkeley City College for research work experience leave. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. It's been properly motioned. Roll call, please.
Student trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Item 7.3, consider ratification of consulting agreement with Keenan and Associates in the amount of $40,000. May I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Trustee Handy? And seeing no questions, roll call, please.
Student trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuan? Trustee Napoli Abella Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein. Yes. Trustee Bonilla.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7.4, consider approval of participation collaboration agreement between Laney College and the MUFG Union Bank, National, I think that means, to establish a community college student-operated branch and internship program. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved, and I have a second. Can we give?
Madam President, is there a reason we are not bundling several of these items?
Yes, there is. So hold your horses there. So we're on a
Thank
very
you.
exciting item right now. And Chancellor, I would like to give you the floor on this, please, to tell us a little bit about this item.
Yes, I've asked Dr. Gilkison to be able to speak to this good work that's been done.
Chancellor Stanback-Stroud and the Board of Trustees, if you afford me the opportunity, I'd like to come to the dais and invite our Department Chair in Business, Kim Glosson, to please join me.
Thank you. It's very exciting.
So first, let me introduce Kim Glosson, our incredible Department Chair in Business, our business department at Laney College. And you've seen through the board item that's before you, our business department has incredible accolades, both at strong workforce stars and in the work it's been doing both in the community and is our #1 major at Laney College. Back in November 2017, I was approached by Union Manufacturers Bank about the opportunity to think broadly about what we think about when we really think about community reinvestment and thinking about sort of what is redlining kind of strategies that have happened in our communities for many, many years, and how do we think about greenlining our communities and connecting that work together. And so through a very participatory process, really wanting to make sure that any relationship or thing that we do be grounded in the curriculum and grounded with faculty. Those beginning meetings with leadership began with students, participation by associated students, and college leadership, and also our department, which was most connected to that area. And so we wanted to say that we're really excited today, after 2 years of planning and going through a very deliberate participatory governance process through the college and through the district participatory governance process, we're here today to really celebrate an opportunity that we have before us to participate in a collaboration agreement that will operate the first student-run bank branch on a college campus with a hands-on learning environment that is nationally the first bank branch to happen. And so I wanted to give the opportunity to our illustrious department chair, who's taken a lot of work over the last years to help build the curriculum and to begin to do that stuff, to talk about the impact that we know that this program will have to our students and our community.
Thank you. To Chancellor Strauss and to the board, the trustee board, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to talk about this exciting program or this opportunity for us to partner together. And in listening to the Chancellor, one of the words that she kept repeating was impact, impact, impact. And my thought was, how will this program impact our students and help our students to be successful? And I came up with just three words that I'd like for you to remember. In terms of education, it will provide an opportunity for our students not only to learn in a classroom, but immediately to apply what they're learning in a classroom in a real work environment. And that's so extraordinary because often our students, they will receive their certificate, they will receive a degree. However, when they go out in the work environment, they're not really prepared to do that transition. The next thing will be in terms of employment. Union Bank has committed to hire our students, to pay our students, and while they're also being paid and they're learning how to actually work in a professional environment, they will be receiving college credits as well. And then the last one I'd like to just share with you would be exposure. Often when we're talking about our students and when we're talking with our students, there are times where they're not really sure what they want to do. This is a wonderful opportunity for our students to explore
banking and financial occupation. I worked for Bank of America for 20 years. Who would have ever imagined 20 years later that I would be teaching and also be a department chair and working with banking? So it's been a full circle. I will be heavily involved. Also, just to share with you, Union Bank has been in this business and working with other high schools. They actually started this teller student run with high schools. I've had an opportunity to go down to visit 2 of the different high schools and talk to the students and ensure they really had a clear understanding of banking and financial opportunities. So I look forward to working with our partners and this exciting program, and we just look for your support. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This is a very exciting opportunity. And just a little bit more information. I believe that they're going to be physically building out the space in the college.
So we've identified a location in the college, and that is actually our student center. And you've heard multiple times our students talking about the student center and the state of affairs in our student center. And we believe this is actually synergy of bringing public-private partnership to actually enhance that area where students are going to be, and they'll be seeing students working there directly. So what was before you in the board packet was a mock drawing. Again, we will, once we get the go-ahead to go forward, we will continue working through all of the agreements and requirements that we have. But it's looking to be anywhere from an 800 to 1,000 square foot portion of the second floor of the student center that will be set aside for the bank branch. Students have been involved. Our student government leaders from each year have been involved because this has been a couple of year process. So they're excited about what we can do there, and we're hoping to build synergy to also augment with a food pantry on the other side, and so really bringing some life back into that area. And Union Bank will be covering all of the costs for the construction.
Oh, yes. There you go. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah,
yes, Chancellor.
Yeah, and just may I say that this is really exciting because it not only is students being able to work in the industry, it also is, expanding the opportunity for students to develop financial literacy and to be able to engage in these, what we call wealth creation strategies. So it's really, really exciting. And I also want to give you a heads up that will mean that we'll be bringing some more facilities items to the board. So just heads up.
Thank you for that. So we'll go ahead and take roll call on this.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Yes. Trustee Gonzalez-Iwan?
Yes.
He's still there?
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese? Yes. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Item 7.6, consider ratification 7. Where am I? 555. I'm trying to get through this. You can make that motion.
I'd like to move the rest of those 7.5, 6, and 7 in a block.
Okay, 7.5. I'm sorry, 7.5, 7.6, and 7.7, which are all three ratifications.
And wait a minute, 7, let's go at 8 and 9. Can we do all of those?
What? Just get an explanation about the license for Oracle. I don't know what
Oh, right.
That's, okay, and pull that one out.
Okay. With the exception of the Oracle, which is 7.9, right? No.
So what about 7.7 and 7.8?
I'll second that.
What about 7.7 and then 7.9? Oracle is 7.8.
Okay, so all but 7.8? Okay. And we have a motion, and we have a second? Do you have a second?
Yep.
We have a second?
Trustee Withrow?
Okay, great, and roll call, thank you.
Student Trustee Stanley? Yes. Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
And Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7.8, consider approval of request for board delegation of authority to allow Vice Chancellor Lamb to approve Oracle annual support contract license renewal for PeopleSoft enterprise applications in the amount of $300,857.56.
Second.
It's been moved and approved. Questions? Trustee Brown.
They're killing us on this reinstatement of technical support fee.
We can't hear you.
Okay, so like if you let your contract lapse, you gotta pay them 150%? I mean, okay, I know it's a license fee, I know they have the software, I know that these are very difficult to change and negotiate terms in a software license agreement, but they're painful. Is there anything we can do? Can you somehow make this not feel as like a head whooping?
I have been working with Oracle to restructure the license piece, and part of that is in our effort to do an upgrade. In addition, part of the restructuring of the license is also there are a lot of modules we initially purchased from 2004 when PeopleSoft became part of this organization. They sold Peralta, the boat, everything, but we don't use everything. And then the issue we have is we're stuck to everything. And when you slice the current contract, it's a different pricing model, which actually isn't linear, it's exponential. So the current negotiation effort is really to redo some of our modules because we're not using it, and also to eliminate potentially some of our applications that we may not need because of the integration that we can do between one versus another. So those are the things that we've been discussing. So.
They're paying us to scale back? I mean, we're paying them to scale back?
We will.
You didn't make this feel any better.
Right. No. We're paying them for everything, but we're going to scale back and requests and make it where the price also scales back. Yeah, because really within our contract, they have the ability to increase 20%, but actually on the average, they've been increasing anywhere between 3 to 5%. Last year to this year is a 4% increase, but the prior year was a 3%. So we need to scale back.
I got one more question. Sure. So these things are expensive, and
Yes.
Part of the reason we said, look, we keep approving this is because our financial software could be better. And part of what we've done before, part of what we've done is we have tried to automate the payroll so that we could pay our part-time teachers for the classes, for the information they enter. And I'm wondering why if we're paying for the license and if we're paying for the support, we can't make it a proprietary system and run other people's payroll at least. I mean, I know we're understaffed, so I'm not even going to pretend like you've got all these people waiting to run the software. But isn't there, like, down the road somewhere we could recoup some of this money and run somebody else's payroll that hasn't started the system that we have?
Yeah, I think, there's always a potential, but part of our effort is also to do stabilization and create a model that works for us that could also be transparent and work for other community colleges. We're just not at that level at this point, not only from a resourcing standpoint, but from a capacity standpoint to be able to consume that. So
Stay in the game, don't talk playoffs. I got it.
yeah.
I have one more question.
Sure, Trustee Reese.
So, Min or Vice Chancellor Lamb, my question for this is, and I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this question, but we haven't talked about technology for a while, and we're going to be paying $300,000 for this renewal, exactly as Trustee Brown just said, but we haven't moved forward. We still are in the same situation that we were in a while ago in terms of a non-functional or not purely or fully functional technological infrastructure. So, has anything happened that we have not been apprised of?
Yes. So from the initial discussion, if I may comment, Chancellor. Okay. So from the initial discussion was that although we aren't in a new system, we are moving forward in our implementation of what we were waiting on, meaning that part of our wish list in which we wanted to implement was to have a new system and then start the implementation. The teams have been working with each of the business units to actually identify all the pain points and prioritize them, and even some of the modules we have implemented, such as, I'll give an example. One of the requests was time and attendance, time and labor, part of the LAR process. It's very manual in Peralta, paper, translated to pay sheets, pay line, manually entered. We've done phase 1 of phase 2, which is phase 1, improving the back office, which is before it used to be kept in a spreadsheet. So from the paper that got turned in, being filed, kept on a spreadsheet. And then between the spreadsheet, after payroll gets cut, they actually put it on individual pay lines to produce the check. Now, instead of keeping it on the spreadsheet, it goes directly into the system. So it's in the time and labor module. From a push of a button, it actually creates the paycheck. Now they don't use the spreadsheet to translate into PeopleSoft. The second phase of that is actually deploying the self-service piece. So we are ready to a point, we are testing and test, but really there's a lot that has to happen. Really, there's some updates to the system required for, report to structure, also building the materials to be consumable for the audience and community, saying this is how now you're going to do your reporting of time in the system. So it's a lot of planning, and we're actually embarking on that. So we're not waiting for the 9.2. And in addition, for the 9.2, I have been working with Oracle into restructuring the current license fee. In addition, also on the upgrade effort and project for stabilization, and also looking at not only from an application standpoint, but also from our infrastructure standpoint, knowing with what we have to get to, and what we can do. So my hopes is to present to the board before December the whole plan, and then getting approval hopefully on the move forward. And part of that also is to alleviate some of the pains that we have now. Because we aren't at a new version, we're actually paying $75,000 more for additional updates and support from Oracle. In addition, which is not seen in here, is come the end of December, $79,000 increase just for regulatory updates and support on that. So if we engage, Oracle would alleviate $150,000 right off the bat, just for a commitment to move forward. But everything else of which will be presented, you will see the compare and contrast of what we're going with and what we're going to get to. And then, I'm hoping the numbers would suit the board and our community and the Chancellor in terms of a move forward plan.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Student Trustee Stanley?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Yes. Trustee Napoli Abella Reese? Yes. Trustee Brown? Yes. Trustee Weinstein?
Yep.
Trustee Bonilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes our action. And we'll go into Board of Trustee reports. Trustee Brown?
Well, I attended the ACCT conference last week. It was I thought it was a very rewarding conference in that we were able to talk about and learn and work on issues of supporting our students through equity and discussions regarding the Second Chance Pell, housing insecurity, food insecurity. Really, the focus of the ACCT conference is how to become more effective in helping your students not only enroll and be retained through and reach their educational goals, but also to reach their life goals and have a meaningful career and sustainable career as they complete their educational programs. And so it was, I thought it was very helpful in terms of seeing how other community colleges are operating throughout the nation. And this year, I will be serving as the chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for the National Trustees Organization. And I had the pleasure of presenting on moving the needle from diversity to equity with the Chancellor for the LA Community College District, as well as Pasadena. We had our Board of Governors chair there, and the Vice Chancellor for the state community college system, and the level of commitment to equity, to closing the achievement gap, and to promoting student success was heartening in the sense that although there are problems that have been persistent in being able to effectuate the proper support for our students, I believe if we remain committed and we remove the obstacles to student success, that we can actually achieve equity and we can help our students reach their educational goals.
Thank you for that. Trustee Reese? Trustee Withrow?
I attended a program up at Merritt College on cybersecurity, the development of cybersecurity professionals, and extremely well done. The speaker was a CEO of a Silicon Valley company, and she was very effective in terms of addressing young adults, college kids. Very well done. Thank you.
Student trustee? Trustee Handy?
I also had the opportunity to attend ACCT with Trustee Brown, driving Trustee Withrow and I. Some very long days, leaving at 6:30 in the morning and getting back at midnight just to do it again the next day. But I also had the honor of coming off of finishing my 2-year term on the nominating committee for ACCT, and I'm also participating in the election where Judy Chen Haggerty from California, trustee, is also now going to be on the director. So it was a very exciting time. We also had the opportunity to transition the African American caucus of ACCT, where we started over 6 years ago, trying to take it over and making it very relevant for all of the areas. As some of you may not know, many of the trustees across the country are not elected, they're appointed by their governors, some from 4-year terms to 19-year terms. But when they're appointed, that also means that they serve at the whim of the governor, so it doesn't leave the same level of opportunities for change as it does. So we know the importance of California setting the bar high, and we find that when we do things like creating and expanding these caucuses, then all the information trickles back down to Mississippi and Texas and other places where they may not be as innovative with some of the processes. And also, the other thing that's very exciting is, after spending all this time trying to do this, having the young people step up. And I have to tell you, they are just dynamic. So the succession training does work, and they brought so much energy. And for the first meeting with the new president, I would say we had close to 100 members show up. And in that room, it was so impressive because you had president after chancellor, who were, and mayors who were the first black mayors in their cities, the first black presidents, the first black chancellors, first female. There were so many firsts. So as we have the young people and the elders in the room, just the look of awe as you heard people in their introductions telling their stories. So I am so glad to have been a part of helping that transition happen. And I am just so proud of the young folks who are stepping up to the plate to take that caucus even further. And also young people who are stepping up to the plate in other areas of the ACCT as well. And last night I had the opportunity to attend the Bay 10 Trustees dinner. And that was interesting. I left at 4 o'clock, so I actually managed to get there. They had 3 buildings that were that have just been built, and one of them, the one where the reception was, we were the first people to be in there. It was the library, bright light, everything, and it was just amazing to see what they've done. 100 million plus, but it was pretty incredible. I think we were fortunate to get our Barbara Lee building done when we did because of the rising cost of construction. It was interesting to hear trustees after trustees. First of all, everyone wanted to know if Regina was coming and to congratulate her. I mean, this woman is a superstar. ACCT everywhere. Peralta, we were being patted on our backs. But, I mean, this is a woman who is highly revered by people across the country and across the state. So that was kind of an exciting thing to happen. And I thought I was going to get beat up when the emergency came and she wasn't able to make it there. But being there with trustees from across the area, they all have the same concerns about the funding formula, where it's going to go, how we can get enough money to support our students, what our future is going to look like. And for the most part, people were united in expressing their concerns and willing to do whatever they could to make that better. And that was something that was very good to see. There was another point, but I forgot what it was, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Handy. Trustee Weinstein?
Thank you. And thank you for the reports. It helps us know what's going on. So I was very pleased, as I always am, to be at the UCRC Day of Unity at BCC. I know that group when it first started, and I know when they received their original grant. And they have just built that community, a group of students and faculty. They've really built it every single year so that more and more people are aware of what's going on in the undocumented community. And it's extremely moving, and it's extremely exciting to see that. Some of the students told their stories, which are very intense stories. And when you see kind of where the students have come from and where they are now, you can only be totally in awe of these students. And given the situation that we are in now in this country, it is even more exciting and more inspiring to see what these students are doing in terms of building community as well as their advocacy. So it was an honor for me to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. And before we go to announcements, you have something to read out.
So the board gives their condolences to the friends and families of Peralta student Israel Lopez Garibay. We mourn his passing, and we will adjourn our board meeting in his memory. But there is a Peralta Community College District proclamation honoring the life of Israel Lopez Garibay. Shall I read the whole thing? Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay began his time as a student in the Peralta Community College District in summer 2013 and took courses at Merritt, Alameda, and Laney. Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay was dedicated student athlete at Merritt College, participating in track and cross country, and an avid outdoorsman, runner, and bicyclist. Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay was an employee at the East Bay Regional Park District during his time as a student at the Peralta colleges. Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay was a unique, gentle soul who loved his family, friends, dog, nature, and education. Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay earned an associate in science degree in mathematics and natural sciences, both with honors. Whereas Israel Lopez Garibay planned to transfer to CSU Humboldt to pursue a degree in forestry. Sympathies are sent to his family and friends upon his passing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees will honor the memory of Israel Lopez Garibay and his notable contributions as a student that touched the lives of all of community members within Peralta. Thank you.
And we'll make sure that his family receives this plaque. Announcements, VP Weinstein.
The next regular board meeting will be held on November 12th in the district boardroom. Madam President, that concludes the announcements for the evening.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting.